to start a little backwards today because there was a new update released, and there was some suggestions that maybe we should start with the update and what those features are moving forward. Touchpix is an iOS app. For those of you that are not aware of that, iOS means that it is strictly made for the operating system that has to do with iPads and iPhones. It is compatible with iPhone 11, 12, and 13. That's what we recommend for recording devices. Again, it's iPhone 11, 12, and 13. Those iPhones have the ultra wide lens. It has the ability to record at slow motion at a high frame rate. So you're able to do 120 frames per second. And it has the best image quality out of all the iOS devices out there right now. So if people have anything below that, Touchpix will still work with iPhone 10s or iPhone version 9s. However, you will be in a situation where the output may be affected because those devices don't have the ultra wide angle lens. So we always recommend the newer devices, obviously, because they have the best performance, best value, best output. I am also putting a support number. We are open Monday through Saturday for phone support, right? Phone support hours are from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central time, right? I'm located out of the West Coast. We got support out of the East Coast. So we are kind of meeting everybody in the middle with the Central time zone. Therefore, if you guys have events, we always promote, please prepare in advance. We understand that you may have some issues or technicalities that you may need help with, but please try to reserve some of the weekend support calls for live events, right? We're trying to accommodate people that are really at an event and they're stressing out. But at the same time, with that same token, we encourage that you guys prepare as much as possible. I do work the support line as well. Again, my name is DJ1. And on the support line, I often get a handful of calls or maybe a couple of handful of calls of people wanting me to walk them through the setup process because they have an event starting in 15 minutes. That creates a lot of stress for the end users. And as you can imagine, creates a lot of stress for me because we tell you guys to please prepare in advance, right? If you're not prepared or you think that Touchpix is a app that you can just purchase and it's plug and play, there's a lot of variables to it. So we want to teach you the right way. We want to teach you to be successful. And I think if you prepare, that just shows that you're taking this business serious and you want the optimum output. Doesn't mean we won't help you, but we're going to be a little strapped for time with that regard, and you may not understand everything that you want to understand. But if you don't have logos, if you don't have music, we're not going to help adding those things because we can't do that for you, right? If you prepare, you're going to get your own logos. You'll be able to get your own stuff, and we'll be moving in the right direction with that. With that being said, I'm putting the support number and time on the chat. I also put some. If you open your chat bar, there will be some links or some references to valuable tools that you may need. Again, our support hours are from Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. The support number is 1-833-646-9955. You're definitely going to want to know how to do speed tests because this is an app that is cloud-based. What does cloud-based mean? It means that after you are done doing a session, it's going to upload the content to the Amazon Web Service servers. That way your QR and your email link are able to sync up with the content. Without internet, that stuff will not necessarily work on the spot, but it will queue up for you, meaning that it will store the numbers of people that are texting the image to themselves, and whenever you do have connection, they'll start sending out in that specific order, right? So it's important for you guys to understand that as well. Speed tests, great app. You can get it from your phone, from your computer. It just measures your internet speed. You want to pay attention to the upload speed. The upload speed is very important, and I'll do a demo of what that looks like as we move on to this webinar. People often ask, where can they get songs, right? We're going to teach you how to get songs the legal way. We don't want you guys to get hit with copyright infringements, get your videos knocked out of social media. Furthermore, we don't want you guys to get lawsuits, right, from major record labels in the event that your video makes it to a viral setting. They will come after you to a certain degree. We don't want you to experience that with Touchpix, so we tell you, hey, look, go to Epidemic Sound, Google Epidemic Sound. I think I spelled it wrong. Actually, Epidemic is EPI instead of EPE, as I spelled it. Epidemic Sounds are copyright royalty-free music. Bensound is also another good source, and audiojungle.net is also a good source. With this new Touchpix release, we also give you some free tracks that you can use. That way you're not stressing out on how to load some of these MP3 files. I will say this, there's a lot of people getting music from YouTube. Touchpix will allow you to upload any MP3 file, right? However, with that being said, the way people get that music is considered illegal, but at the same time, they're using third-party apps that are converter apps that will allow that extraction from a YouTube video to an MP3. Sometimes those extractions will work great. Other times, it's going to say it's an MP3, but it's not working, right? YouTube also puts security parameters around their files, and they always try to eliminate some of these sites that convert the audio files. So if you're having issues with a specific file, try it with a legitimate MP3 file. If it works with a legitimate MP3 file and it's not working with a YouTube conversion, then that has to do with the converter that you're using. It's not a Touchpix issue. It's super hard for us to explain that, right? During a support call, because people are panicking. They're saying your software is not working because it's not loading this MP3 file. When it comes down to us looking into it, I'm not going to touch a music file that does not belong to me, right? That belongs to a major record label. I will not assist with that. I'll assist you in loading any other MP3 file that's royalty free. No, not a problem. But we get a lot of calls of frustration dealing with that. So again, this goes back to getting prepared, knowing the software, making sure you're doing things the correct way. And if you're prepared, you're probably testing your event the day before, making sure that everything's working smooth. Okay. Any questions up to this point? Okay. If you guys have a question.
I have a question.
Sure.
I've been trying to get color to my text when I do the templates, and it's not working on my laptop. The area for color is gray. I did email support, and he told me to open up a new browser, but it's still not allowing me to change the color of the text.
Okay.
From black to red at all.
I'll try to answer that the best of my ability. There's some information that I may want to know about your specific laptop. As people are aware, there's a lot of different laptops out in the market, right? And when we indicate laptops, we want you guys to first learn how to set up your events using any type of computer that is Windows based or maybe Mac OS based. It doesn't have to be a Mac, or doesn't really need to be Windows, but we encourage that you use those two platforms. Into the conversation also comes in, people say they have laptops and they literally have what's called a Chromebook, right? Chromebooks are not real laptops, right? They're basically oversized Android machines, and we experience a lot of problems with people trying to set up an event on a Chromebook. So first confirm that you do in fact have a Windows-based laptop or a Mac OS machine, right? So if you do have those two, I'm hoping that I will show you how to get your color up and going during this webinar, and hopefully that will answer some questions. But if you do not have a Windows PC or a Mac OS laptop, that may be the problem, because on Chromebooks are not legitimate operating systems, and they almost work like setting up an event on your iPad. You're able to do so, but you got to know your way around that specific operating system. Chromebooks, they work off an Android system. Mac OS works off iOS. They're not legitimate, full-blown operating systems that you can do a lot of you can do it, but you have to know your way around it. So we always encourage to follow our lead and learn from our method first, and then once you get good at it, then you can start digging into how to set up an event on your iPad, for example. There are certain ways to do it, but there's certain web browsers that we recommend. For Chromebook, we will recommend maybe the Dolphin or Opera web browser. That's what we will recommend with the iPad as well. But again, I'm not going to go into too much details if you do have a Chromebook or a iPad, because we want you to learn how to do it with Windows-based software or a Mac OS. Okay. That was a very good question. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Like I said, I'm going to start showing you some of these methods a little backwards. I typically go through a full-blown setup on how to do it. I will go through the full-blown setup, but it's going to go towards the end. And I'm going to show some people what these new updates are about, right? So if you're already familiar with Touchpix, then you're going to learn what these new updates are about, okay? So an example is I've already created an event for myself here. I'm going to actually make this screen full blown. That way you guys can see the screen pretty good. This event got canceled on me. I had this event last weekend. It got canceled due to weather, right? It was a 360 event. And obviously, when they're planning an event and it's going to be outdoors and it rains, you may get some cancellations. So make sure you get your contracts tight and making sure that, it's outlined in your contracts in the event that, weather is an issue, that you at least get compensated for some of your time for preparing for this event. I'm just looking at my settings real quick, and I'm going to take this off here real quick. And I'm going to choose an audio file because that's the only thing I'm going to switch over, right? I have this folder. It's important. If you're using a computer, I would create a new folder on your desktop and call it whatever you feel you're going to remember. In my case, I call it Essential Setup Files, and I have something for slow motion, and I have something for photo booth for Touchpix. How do you create a new folder on your desktop? Just hover over your desktop, not on an icon on an empty space, and you're just going to right click. Once you right click, you're going to be given this option that says new, right? Under new, you can select new folder and call it whatever you want and start dumping the files that you're going to need for setup on that folder. Same thing applies for Mac OS. You're going to go up to the file, new folder option, and it'll give you the option to create a new folder. What do I mean about files that you need for setup? I mean is when you're setting up your slow motion event, you're going to want to click on slow motion files here, right? Under slow motion files, I'm going to switch the view over to medium icons. That way you guys can see what I'm working with. And for my specific setups, I have what's called an overlay, which means the artwork that was designed, right? I'll have some logos, right? I'm pretending this Instagram logo is the logo for my business. It's not, but that's what I'm showing you. Or this Touchpix logo, right? I also have some audio files here that are royalty free, right? I'll show you how to load those. But for this case, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Right now, this event's set up. I'm just switching the audio file. I'm going to hit choose file. I'm going to go into that specific folder called slow motion files. I'm going to pick my audio file. I'm going to hit open. As you can see, this audio file, if I hover over it, it's an MP3 file. It's about 30 seconds long. And just make sure it's MP3 and hit open once you select it. It's loaded because that's the file name there. I'm going to go through all this a little bit later, but I'm going to set up an event real quick. That way you guys fully understand how to set up an event, right? So I just want to show you some of the new features. So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. once I hit submit, as you can see, if I had an error, it gave me an error. There was a problem with my submission. So now I have to go back and look at where that exclamation point is. And it appears to be here on my text message side. I cannot use certain characters. So let me see if I can delete certain characters. Maybe I'll just bunch everything together. Let's see if that works. Go all the way down, hit submit. Okay, there's still an issue there. This must be a new feature because it wasn't giving me issues before. So it's a good thing that I'm troubleshooting this with you guys, but it also might be because I'm using the .com, right? So let's give it one more shot here. There you go. So it went through. So it was the dot characters for me, right? So why are they eliminating the ability to put .com or to promote your brand? Typically, it's done based on the provider that we're using, right? Photo booth providers use a company called Twilio to be able to send out those text messages. However, new regulations come out every year, right, that are preventing spam text messages or companies sending text messages. So in this case, we're not allowing the .com or the dot or the special characters because it's red flagged by the carriers and it will not send some of that information. So as long as you meet the parameters, and we do a very good job at Touchpix to outline what those are, then it will let you send out the information. So in this case, it was the dots and some of the special characters that I was using. So I'm going to go into the designer. Like I said, I'm working backwards, but I want you guys to see, and I will go over this with a little bit more detail as the night progresses. Right, so I'm going to go over to templates. My drop-down menu is going to go to slow-mo overlay. I'm going to click slow-mo overlay 3 for this design. I have a template that's already made, so I'm going to go to uploads, custom overlay. Right, I'm going to pick, more than likely, I'm going to pick, let me see, let's pick something basic, right? It's telling me it's not the right size. I already know it's not the right size. I'm still going to use it anyways. It's nothing fancy. It's just some balloons. But you always want to follow the right size. And to know the right size, you hover over the question mark. So whoever designs your template, or if you do it on Canva or Photoshop, just make sure you design it under these parameters. This actual template was designed under a different set of parameters. So it's not looking as sharp as it should, but it will still work for the purposes of this tutorial. But you know where to find the sizes here for all the templates. They're right there where I highlighted. If you hover over the question mark, you're going to see the sizes here from template 1 through 5, right? So you can create these on Canva.
So, hell yeah, it was good with you. Oh,
okay.
Shit, not much. I was thinking about earlier. I had while I'm driving out the warehouse, I got some free hours that I was thinking about starting to drive Uber or anything like that, or just debating on deciding if I was going to. Hold on one second. I gotta mute this.
Okay, were you talking to me or were you just talking in general? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. My phone rang. I'm on the phone. I'm about to mute it right now.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I thought you were going to ask a question. Okay, so yeah, so you load up your design as so, right? And when you load up your design, it's going to appear here. Before you actually hit submit, you're going to hit add template, but make sure before you hit add template, you're loading it to the right event, right? So at the beginning, you're going to name this event. Again, I'm going to walk through this with you with more detail, but I'm just explaining how to add this template to that specific event, right? At the very least, if you're not sure if you loaded this template correctly, if you click on my account and go back to events, and you go over to this specific event here, and you click on overlays, you're going to see the overlay added under the slow motion category. This is a place where a lot of people make mistakes. Some people go really fast in loading their events, and they'll load artwork onto a video template or a photo template or a Boomerang template. If you do it that way and you're doing slow motion, it's not going to appear. You got to make sure that you're loading it to the right function for the software, which is slow-mo overlay. Again, I'll explain this with greater detail. I just want to really highlight where people make a common mistake. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my phone. That way you guys can see me scan it, and then I'm going to show you exactly what I mean about the new features, right? And then we'll go through an actual event. So I'm going to hit my account. I'm going to hit QR code. There's my QR code, right? And this is my iPhone. If you guys can see my iPhone here on the left, I'm sorry, on the right-hand side of the screen. It looks like it stopped the broadcast. Give me one quick second. Let me refresh it. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. I'm back online here. You guys will be able to see my iPhone. I'm going to open up the Touchpix app. I just deleted it and reinstalled it just for the purposes of this tutorial. Every time I delete and reinstall, and I do have a subscription, what I'm going to do is hit this subscription tab right here. I'm going to tap on subscription, and I'm going to either, if I don't have a subscription and I'm going to buy one, I'll either buy one from the list, or I'm going to hit restore purchases if I already have a subscription paid for. So in my case, I'm going to hit restore purchase, and then you're going to see something like this saying that my subscription has been restored. So a lot of people also make the mistake of thinking, I bought a Touchpix account or a Touchpix subscription, and when I go to my account, if I go to orders or account details, I don't see my subscription, right? If I go to orders and my subscriptions, I don't see that there. In my case, I have a special account that I bought, or I was given to. I was given this account through a different means, not through the Apple App Store. But if you buy your subscription through the Apple App Store, you're not going to see it here. And a lot of people panic because they think, I don't see it on my account. I don't see it, but I just purchased it. I just paid Touchpix. Well, the thing is that everything runs through the Apple App Store with like every single app, like Netflix, like Spotify. Apple has control of everything on their ecosystem, right? So they get the payment, and then eventually they send it over to Touchpix after they take their cut, basically. So I'm going to show you where you're going to find your subscription, right? This is where you're going to find your subscription. I'm going to hit go back, and I'm actually going to minimize the Touchpix app. If you hit the general tab or the settings tab right here, you're going to see the name of your phone right up here, right? This is the name of my phone. It's the name of my business. It's the banner. So I'm going to click on that banner. And once you click on that banner, right, it's going to give you your Apple ID email address that's tied to this specific phone, right? If I want to know where my subscription is, there's this tab right here called subscriptions. Under subscriptions, you're going to be taken to all the subscriptions that you're currently paying for through Apple. And as you can see, Touchpix is right here. I have an annual subscription, and this is my expiration date. Whatever subscription you buy, whether it be a weekly or monthly or even yearly, it is your responsibility to turn it off and on. These steps are very important because this is where you turn it off and on. Going to the subscription before it expires at least 2 days ahead of time will definitely put a halt to that auto renewal payment system that Apple has in place. So if you don't want to get charged because you may not be booked the following week, then make sure 2 days before it expires, or even 3 days, you turn that off, right? It doesn't mean that your app is not going to work. right? Once you turn it off, it just means once you exhaust the whole entire week, it's going to stop working without doing a auto renewal. So another common question is, when you buy a week subscription, how does it work? Right now it's $8.40, right? If I were to buy a subscription right now, Wednesday at $8.40, that means my expiration date for this subscription will be in 7 days, the following Wednesday at exactly $8.40. So that's the way it works. It works off the same time that you made the purchase. 7 days later, or 30 days later, or a year later, it's going to expire on that same day. So that's very important for you guys to know. Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you pay with a credit card and not use Apple Store on your phone?
You can. You definitely can, but you have to send us an email. We have to create a special link for you to do so. That way it's not going through the Apple Store. But you definitely have that option. You do have to send us an email. That way we can take care of that for you.
Thank you.
Hey, I got one thing for you, DJ One.
Sure.
So with regards to the subscription, I messed up and followed because I did it at 10 p.m. today. I'm good until 10 p.m. Next week. It's
Correct.
not the case. So Apple will bill you the night before for the next day. So if your subscription is supposed to end next week, Wednesday, you need to cancel it before, I say about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday to not be charged for that next subscription.
Exactly.
It's not the hour for hour.
No, exactly. So I think I explained that. I think I said it expires, right? When you buy it at 8:40 today, it expires at 8:40 the next day. But I explained that if you're going to cancel it at least 2 days ahead of time. That way you're meeting the criteria of the cancellation without getting rebilled. Let me see here. I'm just trying to screen mirror again. I think my screen mirror is acting a little funny today, but let's see if it works. Here we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do.
DJ One.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi. If you cancel your subscription, will you have access to the galleries that you've already created?
Absolutely. It's your Touchpix account. You'll have access to your galleries for up to a year, right? Meaning that we'll store your data for a year, and then after that, your data is not promised to stay in our servers because we have to make room for the newer data. So yeah, you will always have access to your galleries, even if you don't have an active subscription.
Thank you.
One other question. So I got the subscription last week for an event, and I actually did pay with my credit card.
Yeah,
and so
perfect,
I guess I don't understand the Apple thing and sending an email because I didn't do any of that. So I just want to make sure that I'm good and that this isn't a new update that I have to do ongoing.
Negative. There's two ways of paying for it. The most common way is the Apple App Store. I think if you paid for it through your credit card, somebody either sent you a specialized link or you came over here to the shop portion of stuff and you purchased maybe the white label subscription, because there's already a link created for that. So either case, we don't have like the weekly or monthly ready to go here. Maybe in the future we'll have them more easily available, but at this time, no. Just if you need one of those that's outside of the app, then reach us via email at mail@touchpix.com or support@touchpix.com. Let us know that you want a monthly or a weekly link that's not through the Apple App Store. We can definitely take care of you.
I have a question. Is there a trial period for this application or is it not?
Well, there currently is. I don't know when or if it's going to stop. The trials have been becoming more of a somewhat of an issue, right? We offer trials for people to actually try the software, to give it a spin to make sure that you're happy with it. What we're finding is there's a lot of people who actually are pretty demanding with our trials in actual paid events that people are getting paid for. That's not our design, right? That's not the design, right? The design's for you to try the software to make sure that you're happy and everything works well. We often get calls during the weekend saying, well, I'm going to pay to, I'm scheduled to do an event and it's a paid event and your trial, they're really wanting us to walk them through the entire trial. And I want to focus my time on the hard, the hard paying customers that are actually our paying customers. I definitely don't want to spend too much time on the weekend with somebody on a trial. I'll do that if the time allows, but I want to focus on the people that are already committed to our software, that are already paying us either the monthly or the weekly fee, because those are my priority, to make sure that those people are up and going, because they already are paying a legitimate amount of money on whatever subscription that they paid. It's not that I don't want to help trial people. It's just they're getting a little, it gets a little overwhelming on a weekend, right? If they're wanting to use a trial for a paid event, and we want to focus our weekends really on our paying customers.
Gotcha. I understand. Thank you.
No problem. But yes, if you want a trial, I don't know how long they're going to be available for, but if you guys want a trial, definitely send an email to support@touchpix.com requesting a 7-day free trial. What I do recommend, if you're asking for a free trial, we often get a couple of group of people that are registered under an Apple ID account, like I showed you currently right now on my iPhone, and then they open up a Touchpix account with a different email account. You got to make sure that those email addresses match. It'll make your life a lot easier, and it'll make our life a lot easier. So if you're planning this as a first-time business, just start a new Apple ID email account that's associated to your business, because you don't want to get your personal pictures or videos mixed up with your business pictures and videos in the event that your business scales up eventually and you have to get more devices, right? So just be professional about it. Open up a Touchpix account with your business name, and open up an Apple ID with your business name. And I think that'll be a better way to track things, right?
Okay.
Okay. Sure.
DJ Duke, I have a question.
Okay.
I am actually on my trial period right now, because I'm doing my testing and trying to learn how to do my overlays. Once I do that, and then I'm getting ready to start, would I be able to use any of the overlays that was from my trial period?
Yeah. Like I said, those events will live in your account, right? So that's your account, even if you're a paying customer or not, right? If you trial expires, right, it doesn't mean that the app is not going to work. It just means that the app will have a watermark saying demo, right? The only thing that does not work with the app on a demo version, is your text messaging and email. The reason why those don't work is because it costs us money to send those things out. And when you're a paying subscriber, you're not only paying for our service, but you're paying for the fee that we ultimately have to pay this third-party company to be able to send those things out. So that's why you're paying a certain amount, right?
Hey, DJ Juan.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
So when I purchased my question is, when I purchased my my equipment, the vendor that I use offered me a free 30-day trial for Touchpix.
Okay.
I uploaded my 30-day trial period, but and it's been 2 weeks. I wanted to know, do I have the option to pause it, because I'm not doing any events right now? I went ahead and activated it so that I could, move around and learn how to maneuver in the system or whatever. But is there any way that I could save my other 2 weeks for when I do actually have an event and I need to use that time?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no way for us to pause it, right? Because it works on a time limit. So there's not an actual mechanism in place where we can just say pause it, and it'll create. It just creates other rooms of concern in other areas, because then at one point we can get customers saying, well, look, I'm buying the week, but I only really want to use it on the weekend. So can I pause it for these weekend days and resume? So yeah, there's no way for us to kind of monitor that. So unfortunately, no.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, so right now what I'm going to show you guys real quick, because let me get through this. I'm going to get through this, and then I'm going to go ahead and start the process of how to create an event. Okay, definitely. There's a lot of good questions I can get through those towards the end. So I'm going to go ahead and activate an event. As you guys can see, my iPhone on the right-hand side. Let me see here. I think I'm having some connection issues here. Okay, I'll take a couple more questions while I'm connecting my iPhone again, and then we can start. So whoever had a question, feel free to jump in.
I did. Hi, DJ Juan.
Hi.
Question for you. I'm I'm about to purchase the weekly subscription, but my event is not until November 6th. So 7 days from today, will be 3 days before my event even start. Will my event still work, or I'll need to buy a new one again?
No, yeah, it'll work. If it's within the 7-day span, it'll work.
No, it won't be in the 7-day span.
Oh, then it won't work. If it's not within the 7-day span, it's not going to work. So what I would recommend you do in your case is just use the demo, load up use our demo, even if it has watermarks, because you're just testing right now anyways.
Yes.
Right. When it gets closer to that event, then go ahead and purchase it.
But can I share with the demo?
You won't be able to share, not till you buy an actual subscription. Correct.
So how would I know it works?
You can do it via Airdrop.
Okay.
Via Airdrop, you can share.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, I have another question.
Sure.
This is Tracy.
Sure.
I'm a new user, and I'm just wondering if there's a quick description you can give me to add music. I'm having a hard time adding music to the background.
Yeah, I don't know if you just jumped in, but I just went over that maybe about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, I did just jump in. Is there a way to go back? I don't want you to have to repeat yourself.
Yeah, but not at the moment, not live, but this recording will be up and it'll show you how to kind of access your music and some of the parameters that kind of go with that. That specific name. Okay.
Yep. We were just browsing through, and this is it just came up. It was our first time, so I can go back to that moderator page.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. And then we'll post up the link as soon as we're done. So right now I loaded up an event. I'm going to go ahead and activate the event, right? So as you can see on the right-hand side, I'm hitting activate, and I'm going to activate a actual event, not a test, but just an activate event, which is right down here. Make sure it's activated. And then I'm going to scan the QR code with my camera. And it says recognized event, right? So now all the settings that I've done to create this specific event online, it's going to activate on the phone. It's asking me for permissions. All of these are super important. So make sure you allow and hit OK for all of these functions, right? It's asking me even for for the Apple TV animations, and it's loading them up. That's my specific logo. I mean, you can go either way. In this specific tutorial, just wanted to show something real quick. And I'm actually going to show you guys something too, because I don't want to use my logo for this. I want to use something more generic. I should have switched that out. So in the event that you made a mistake and you need to make some changes, you can always go back into events, right? And if you go over to this sprocket here, this gear, you're going to click on that and hit edit, right? I'm going to hit edit, and I'm just going to go and change out those logos because maybe I don't want those logos being reflective of this anymore. And I'm going to, these are where I upload my logos. I'm going to go ahead and just delete them for now. All three logos are the same for me. So I'm going to go ahead and delete them on all different parts here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some Touchpix related logos. And if I can find any, let me see. I might have some. So I'm going to use these Touchpix logos right here. If they're in a folder like I indicated that I recommended, it's a lot easier for you guys to manage all of these uploads, right? And that's all I wanted to switch on this specific event. So I'm going to hit submit. And instead of scanning that QR code again, you don't need to do that. I'm going to go over to my phone here. I'm going to go ahead and put it full screen. That way you guys see full screen. I'm going to go ahead and hit this hamburger icon. And then I'm going to tap on the refresh event, right? You're going to need some type of Wi-Fi connection for the event to refresh. And you see how my logo switched over to the Touchpix logo now? So that's a quick way to edit your stuff, right? Yeah.
Before you get too far going there, what I noticed when you first activated your event, and it must be because the app is updated or something apparently, but anyway, I noticed that now when you activate, test sharing station comes up in that box down there now.
Correct.
Is that part of the new update for the app now?
It is. I'm going to go ahead and cover that now. That's why I started with some of the updates, and I'm going to make it really easy for you guys on how to do that, right? So what I'm going to do too is that way you guys can see, because I do have an iPad here, right? I actually have a couple of iPads. So now before, I'm going to go into the Touchpix window. Before, the way we would have you do events is duplicate this event to do your sharing station, right? So now you don't have to duplicate any events. You can use the same QR code. That's part of the update. So that's the QR code from our original event. So now when you have your iPad, you're also going to go ahead and install it, right? Make sure it's under the same Apple ID. I'm going to hit restore purchase. And it should give me the success, right? It's showing success. Let me see if I can go ahead and toggle over. Okay. Let me grab my other camera because this is giving me some issues real quick.
Question.
Go ahead.
So when you scan that QR code, if you have a sharing station and you have your iPhone to take the pictures with, what are you scanning that QR code for?
You mean for your sharing station? Is that what you're asking
Right.
me? Yeah. So
yes.
You're scanning that QR code because you want it to sync to that gallery, right? There's a specific gallery that Touchpix creates for you.
Yep.
Right? So you want it to sync to that specific gallery, and you want to make sure that everything that's being shared is for that specific event, right? So that's the reason why you're sharing that specific,
So do I use the iPad that I'm using as the sharing station to scan that QR code so that I can get the things onto my sharing station?
Correct. And I'm going to do a live demo of that right now. That's what
Okay.
I'm working on putting my camera back up, and I'm sorry the screen mirroring software is a little glitchy today, but I have a backup source here which I'm going to use, and it'll show you how I'm going to do it precisely. That way you guys can see it live, and if you guys have any questions, we can address those questions as well. So I just need to give myself a little bit of more permissions, make co-host. Okay, here we go. So we're going to do it live here, and we're going to.
He said, I don't know if he was on earlier because we went through it.
Okay, here we go.
All right. But it's good to know that they went through it, so.
Your phone needs to be muted.
Okay, here we go. So this here is going to be my my camera that I'm going to use. Okay, so this is my camera. This is my iPad, right? And this is the iPhone that I have. I'm just giving you a quick little sample of what that is going to look like. And let me minimize this real quick. I want to share a screen. Oh, I can't share a screen. I'm going to pull up the QR code on my computer screen. So what I'm going to do here for my iPad, right? That same QR code that I scanned from my iPhone to load the event, I'm also going to scan it with my iPad. But this is the only difference. This is part of the new release. I'm going to hit activate event. But instead of hitting activate or test, I want to select sharing station. This is going to be my sharing station. It's going to allow for me to scan it from my iPad here, and I obviously found the event, and it's setting these parameters up for my sharing station. Again, remember to always give it permissions, right?
Sharing station.
And it's also downloading the resources it needs. I'm going to put it up on the kickstand, that way you guys can see it a little bit better.
DJ Duke, do you still have to sync it?
You still have to sync it, but there's special ways to sync it now. Before you could only share with one iPad. Now, if I had a separate iPad, I can actually share with multiple iPads, and it makes a great way of sharing certain things.
Oh, okay.
I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
When I load up my iPad and my Touchpix and my software, I don't have those 5 boxes down that you have below your circle. Mine looks completely different. Is that like a setting that you just touch to show those buttons?
Which buttons? These right here?
Yeah, where it says recording, make video, make
Yeah,
Boomerang.
because I'm using the sharing station QR code, right? This is a new release. So if you activated your sharing station as of today with the new release app and you did it under sharing station, you should be able to have the same icons as I do.
Oh,
Right?
okay, I have to do that today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Do we have to go in and reinstall the Touchpix to get the new update?
You can go to the App Store and just tap on the update button.
I have a question. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I just did my subscription today for a month, and I have an iPhone 13 to record, but the iPad is telling me that I guess it has to be a newer version.
Okay.
It's not allowing the software to download on the iPad.
Yeah, so that means you probably have an older iPad. So it requires at least iOS 14 or higher, right? The current iOS for the iPads is 15, right? So if your device can only go up to iOS 12 or 13, that means your iPad's probably more than 4 years old, and you're going to require a newer device.
Yeah, it's about 4 years old.
Yeah, so that's what that means. So, but I'm gonna show you a couple things now because I definitely want to highlight some of the features in the app, right? What I wanted to highlight right now is, let me see if this will work. What I'm gonna do is, this is my phone, this is my recording device, right? And as you can see, well, I guess let's go ahead and sync them, right? Let's sync them. So you're always gonna start with your iPad, right? And the way you sync them is the same way, right? There's going to be a couple new features that you're going to look at. First of all, if you go to the hamburger icon, you're going to now see, if you did it correctly, a setting up there that says exit the sharing station. And that's how you close out the sharing station, right? It's no more, redundancy like before where you had 2 different QR codes. Now you can work with 1 QR code and just move on to your event and go from there. But the way you sync the iPads, this is what I recommend. And I recommend people follow these instructions. And if you follow these instructions, you will more than likely be successful at doing your events without any issues. These instructions consist of you going over to your general settings, right? Like so. If you go to your general settings, you're going to see Airdrop as one of your choices. You're going to select Airdrop. Make sure Airdrop is selected to everyone, right? You're also going to follow these steps on your iPhone if you're using it as a recording device. You want to follow these steps. After it's set to everyone, if you scroll up, you're going to see a tab that says Display and Brightness.
Mm-hmm.
And from display and brightness, you're giving some settings to the right of it. You're going to want to go to where it says auto lock and set auto lock to never, right? What that does, it prevents your iPad or your iPhone from falling asleep. Because if it falls asleep, you have higher chances of losing connection. One more thing that I forgot to include was always make sure that your iPad and iPhone have the Wi-Fi turned on and the Bluetooth are on, right? Your iPad, obviously, because it's a sharing station, you're going to want to make sure it's connected to a Wi-Fi connection of some sort. But your iPhone doesn't necessarily need to be connected to a Wi-Fi connection. It just needs to be enabled to the on position, right?
Real quick on that one there. Now, you saying the sharing station need to be hooked up to Wi-Fi. That's what you just said?
Correct.
So what if there's no Wi-Fi where you at?
Yeah, if there's no Wi-Fi where you're at, then you're just going to be able to share via AirDrop. If there's no Wi-Fi where you're at, just make sure that the Wi-Fi setting is on, because that's how it sends your images from your iPhone to your iPad wirelessly. It just needs to be on, right? It doesn't mean that you'll be able to share via AirDrop, or even if you hit text messaging, the numbers are going to be saved, right, in the order that they come in, meaning that they're going to be in what's called as you can see here, it's going to be called a queue system. So if I had a queue system of people inputting their text numbers, it's going to say like 20 or 15 or however number of people are trying to send. Well, that queue system, whenever you are connected to the internet, it starts sending out automatically, right?
Right. So you guys got a video out on YouTube, and it's showing the guy turning off, well, not actually turning off the Wi-Fi. He disabled the Wi-Fi on the sharing station. And so now you're saying leave the Wi-Fi on. Obviously, say if I just don't have any Wi-Fi anyway, but you got a video out there on YouTube showing to disable the Wi-Fi.
I don't know if that's one of our videos, sir.
Yeah, it says Touchpix is one of you guys.
I would need to go back and look at that video, but I'm telling you right now that Wi-Fi needs to be enabled. I do not see a reason why you would disable the Wi-Fi on your iPad if you're using it as a sharing station. There's absolutely no benefits to that. As a matter of fact, if you disable the Wi-Fi on your iPad, if you're using it as a sharing station, you're not going to get a connection.
Well, I thought it was done. I thought it was done through Bluetooth anyway, between the iPhone and iPad.
It's a combination of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. That's how it's done.
Okay.
Okay, so now once you have those settings set, what I would recommend you guys always do is from your iPad, go to your iPad, click on Gallery. You're going to see a little circle with a letter inside of it, right? As you can see now, this iPad, the new feature also has what's called an online sync. If you do have a Wi-Fi connection, it'll sync up online if you ever get disconnected. So what I want you guys to do when you're at this point is click on the circle, and you're going to activate your iPad as the receiver, right? Always think about it as the iPad receiving the content. If it's helpful, put a sticky behind your iPad with the following directions, saying that your iPad always needs to be set to activate receiver first. Then you're going to want to go over to your iPhone. Also click on Gallery from your iPhone. The little S, you're going to click on that, and then you're going to hit Activate Sender. Now it gives me the name of my iPad. So that's the name of my iPad. I'm going to select it, and it said success. My gallery has been synced up, or it's been connected to my gallery. Hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and exit this. So now I'm basically ready to go. But before I go, I'm going to show you guys one quick feature here, because I also have my Apple TV connected. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll from the top corner, the top right corner, to the middle of the screen. It opens up what's called the Control Center, right? In this Control Center, I'm looking for the screen mirroring. I'm going to select screen mirroring, which is the two squares. I see my Apple TV there. It's called 360.
But it gotta be Apple TV.
I was mirroring the phone. Let me close out this app real quick. I'm sorry. Let me close out these apps.
Can you use like a for the Wi-Fi? If you don't have Wi-Fi, can you use a hotspot?
Correct. You can. Okay. I'm going to go through these steps one more time. There it is.
So basically, you guys update there on your sharing station when you first starting up the sharing station there, where it says down there in that block there, it says when you're activating, it says sharing station. Is that just so that you don't have to duplicate the events?
Correct.
So if you're not duplicating your events, so will both devices try to upload to the gallery?
Both devices, they're going to upload, they're going to sync to the same gallery, right?
Okay.
So one device carries it, the other one is just going to, it's the same gallery. You're not creating separate galleries for this.
Not separate, but I'm just saying now you got both devices trying to send to the same gallery.
Not necessarily, because that's why we have this online sync. So one device, you're just going to make sure that one device, your original device will always have the original content. If by whatever reason your sharing station doesn't sync up, you could always sync.
So that stays the same then. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, I have a question.
Go ahead.
If your iPad has cellular data on it, do you necessarily need Wi-Fi? I know the button needs to stay on, but do you necessarily need to connect to Wi-Fi?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's on, you should be good.
All right, good. Thank you.
So I have a question. So you have your phone as your main device. Do you have to have a sharing station?
I mean, you don't have to, but how are you going to share without interrupting what you got going on, right? Because if you
Yeah,
have your
just
if you have your phone and you're planning to share from your phone, you know, people are going to get off the platform,
right?
and you're going to create some conflict there because of the fact that you're going to have lines now because you can't start your next session till that gets remedied, right?
So I seen a video on I guess YouTube where it was the Apple TV and had like a QR code on the Apple TV. Can they go scan that QR code for that purpose, or is that something different?
On the TV, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, but you need Wi-Fi for that. So
I understand.
yeah, you need Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And before we go there, right? That's more of a show enhancer, right? And what I mean is, if you're going to be taking an Apple TV or a TV for that matter, you know, you got to know this. Yeah, you're able to share from that Apple TV, and I'm going to show you guys what that looks like now. You're going to be able to share, but you guys got to be mindful. It's not going to be giving you every single video, right, as a QR code. It's only going to give you the last 4. It's more of a show enhancer, right? It actually just creates a lot of attention, creates a buzz. But definitely it's an upcharge for you guys to do, right? You definitely have those capabilities.
Back to where you said if someone go up to the television and scan the QR code, you're saying that you need Wi-Fi. I just did an event last week where they was actually scanning from the TV, and it takes them straight to you guys' server to get that one video from them. Obviously, they got their phone is activated where it goes to the website on its own. So they wouldn't. So you wouldn't need Wi-Fi in that environment if they got a phone and they just scan the QR code, because it takes them right to you guys' website to get that picture or that video.
No, that's not entirely accurate, sir. So I need people to understand that the QR code that you're scanning, it's generated by a Wi-Fi connection, right? Without
for the Apple TV.
Without the Wi-Fi, there will be no QR code being developed, right? As far as there's nothing there in the server once you scan it. It'll create a QR code, but there's not going to be any content, because if there's no Wi-Fi, how is that file going to be up on the server, right?
What I was finding out, and correct me if I'm wrong, once they got that off the platform, and then the phone I was videoing with sent the signal or sent the video to the television, and that same phone that I'm using for video actually uploaded the video to your website. So once they scanned that code, it was there.
Yeah, the phone, if something is connected to Wi-Fi, again, if something's connected to Wi-Fi or the internet, yes, it'll upload.
Right.
But if there is no Wi-Fi, because I think that was the main question. If there's no Wi-Fi, then it's not going to upload.
Yeah, I would imagine everybody's phone should be activated. So,
well, not necessarily, sir, because I want people to fully understand that, right? So how many people do events in the boondocks where you have one cell signal, right? Or no signal because you're just up in the middle of nowhere. Those situations are more common than not. So just because you have cell signal doesn't mean that your provider is going to work everywhere. If your provider doesn't work, you're not going to have any signal.
Well, totally, yeah. We understand that part, yes.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to go ahead and do this screen mirroring.
I have one quick question about the screen mirroring real quick. When you're having, because I have had this issue a couple of times when I'm mirroring for some reason. Sometimes when I go to the app and I'm mirroring it, it doesn't do the live view. But then after the live view is over,
that means something happened when you loaded your event, preventing the resources from loading up, right? If that happens, if that happens, right? Then I would recommend you restart your devices, your Apple TV and your phone if you're using that. So I want to show you guys this real quick, right? If you could mute the mic, please, that'd be great. So I'm going to show you guys this real quick because I just did a screen mirror. There's my Apple TV. So look what happens when I hit record. I'm sorry, I have one hand here. I'm going to hit record. It says look at the TV, but if you look at the TV, it's live view now, right? So if I'm moving my phone around, it's live view. It does my countdown. I'm recording, I'm recording, I'm recording, I'm recording. And it's a pretty lengthy recording. I should have reduced it. So you're actually going to see it now processing on the TV. It's adjusting the speed, adjusting the slow-mo, adjusting the effects. I don't know what effects I have using. I'm not really familiar with the ones I picked for this event. But this was actually a pretty long recording time. I typically don't do them this long. So now this is the video playback that you'll see from the Apple TV, right? That's your video playback. And if I have internet, which I do in this specific case, right? Once it's done doing the video playback, it'll put it down there with the QR code that you guys can scan at home and download the content, right? And that's the important part, that if there is a file, then you'll go from there. So now let's go over to the sharing station and look. Right now, there's no videos there. But right now, once it's done with the playback, it'll shoot it over to your sharing station. You see how it just popped up there right now? Right up here, that's the same video that it just popped in from that specific gallery, right? So you're pretty much set to go from here, right? You can actually share it via, you can share it via text if you want. I can share it via QR code. You guys at home can scan that QR code and you guys will be able to download it. But besides that, let me actually let you guys scan the one from the TV because it's up there on the TV now.
Can you kind of slow down a little bit? I feel like we're kind of rushing through, and I think it has to do with people asking questions. I'm a little confused. Like earlier, you mentioned you usually don't go that fast when you're recording. What's the average recording time you do, and how many spins in the 360 do you usually give people?
Yeah, so I'm going to go over that in a little bit. Right now, I just want to show the new features. I'll definitely slow it down. This is the reason why I'm going a little fast is because I want to cover the new features, and there's a lot to cover. Right?
Okay.
So you guys can scan that QR code. You guys will get the file at you guys will definitely get the file once you guys scan that. There's only one other new feature that I want to cover, right? And I think it's an important feature.
Ask that really quickly.
What's that?
Is it gonna be? I said, can I ask a question before you move past? Is there a reason why now the mirroring of the phone looks so tiny on the screen with that like little box? Instead of like filling up the screen like it used to? And then is it any different with the GoPro? I use the GoPro. So my trigger device to be hooked up to my GoPro, and then I'll sync the two sharing stations. So would I mirror my sharing station? Is that going to work now? It hasn't been working.
So this is what's going to happen. I'm about to cover that. That's the next part I was going to jump into. So the slideshow is still, for me, I think it's still a work in progress. I do understand what you mean. I want to see it on a bigger screen. That still needs to get worked on. I've mentioned that to the developer, and hopefully we can get an update on that because I do like the real estate covering the entire screen. But let's go into this specific event. That way I can touch on your question right now. So I'm going to go over to manage, right? I know you indicated that you use a GoPro. It's the same exact setup, right? The only difference now that you use a GoPro, before it really wasn't a working option where you can use a slideshow. So now if you go down here to external screen, make sure you select slideshow, right? Once you select slideshow, now I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. That's going to be my only change, right? And from my phone, now that you guys can see my phone here, I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh event because I just refreshed that setting. I'm going to go ahead and activate this event. Let me see.
When you refresh your event, you got to refresh the sharing station too, or would it still be connected?
No, it'll still be. It might actually. You might have to do it again. You might have to do it again. So, give me one quick second here. Sorry, I got a bunch of iPhones and I just want to make sure I'm using the right iPhone here for this. But I'm going to touch on the actual settings of where you make that distinction as far as how you turn on your slideshow and how you make it stay on moving forward. Give me one quick second. And then I'm going to go over through like a live event and show you guys what the settings mean and how to actually load those settings.
Are we getting into areas now where you're talking about the GoPro, using the GoPro now?
Yeah, well, we're gonna touch on a little bit of stuff, but I don't know if the GoPro in general is gonna be that. Oh man, I closed out that event. Give me a second. I accidentally closed out an event.
And the reason why I asked, because I saw you went from external session to Slideshow there.
Yeah, so but it also works with the iPhone. Even if you do external session and you don't want live view recording, it also works that way. So what happened is I accidentally closed out an event. I think it scanned the QR code. So if you accidentally close out an event, you're going to see this saying finished. So I had to go ahead and duplicate the event and rescan it. But I want to show you guys. I want to show you guys something here.
While you're doing that, do you necessarily need to have an Apple TV to do the screen sharing?
The screen sharing? Well,
yeah, to mirror it to the TV.
Yeah, so the answer to that is not really, but I would recommend it because you can do it with a smart TV, right? That has Apple TV app built in, right? But I don't recommend that device because you do need Wi-Fi no matter what for that device to work. The Apple TV, you don't necessarily need Wi-Fi. It works from Apple to Apple, and you don't necessarily need that, right? But I don't want to, mislead you and say you're not able to do it. You definitely are able to do it, but just know that there has some limitations on that if you're not using an
Right, so in
Apple
order
TV.
for the TV to pick up the screen mirror, the TV does need to be connected to Wi-Fi.
Correct, or else that Apple TV app on that smart TV will not work.
Well, it's not an Apple TV app. Like I have, for instance, I use all Apple products for my phones and all that, but for my TV, it's Samsung. And if I go to screen sharing on my phone, it picks up my TVs. And I hit the button, whatever's on my phone shows up on my TV.
Okay.
That's because so I've never used one at any event, but I hear everyone saying that you have to have an Apple TV to do the screen mirroring.
Yeah, if you're using AirPlay, you have to be on the same Wi-Fi. Your phone and your television has to be on the same Wi-Fi.
Okay, thank you.
What's the best way to share the videos to Android users?
Probably QR code. I want to say QR code would be the best way.
Okay.
So this is what I wanted to show you guys real quick, right? I'm going to go back to my phone here. And I'm going to go into the settings screen right here. If I go into settings and I'm going to toggle over to where it says TV session, right? When you're using a GoPro and you're using the slideshow feature, make sure that you toggle where it says slideshow always on, right? That means that it's going to force the slideshow to play and still allow you to use your Apple TV, right? So it's actually a very cool feature now for GoPro users that want to
repeat that again. I'm sorry.
Okay, so for GoPro users that want to use the slideshow now, before it wasn't a consistent connection, it won't allow you to do that. You have to first go into the web version of the interface, like I just showed you guys earlier. Go into manage, right? And make sure that you set it over to, instead of external session, you're going to set it to where it says slideshow, right? That's the most important thing you do. After you do that, you're going to go into your app. I'm going to do it again. Go into settings And from your settings, you're going to hit the right arrow and go all the way to where it says TV session. And you're going to enable the slideshow to always.
Is that setting good for iPhone and GoPro so you don't have to keep changing it back and forth?
It is, and we'll try it right now. Right now, I don't have it to where it's, let me make that connection one more time, right? So let's start the sharing station, set it over to receiver, just because I exited it out of the app, and I'm going to set my phone over to sender. It sees my iPad, connection is done, right? I'm going to exit out, and now I'm going to go ahead and do a record real quick. Now it's doing the live view on my phone, right? It's recording, it's recording, it's recording. I'm really not moving it, but I want you guys to see it. So everything, it's doing everything on the phone here. And once it processes everything, it should play it on the slideshow now, right? Once it, and it's going to keep on playing the videos as the night progresses. So every single video that you do, it's going to shoot it over to your screen as a slideshow. And it works the same way with the GoPro. So now you don't have to like screen mirror your phone. You don't have to do that all the time, or screen mirror your iPad. And, you know, I'll do a couple of videos just that way we can get multiple videos up there while I show you guys.
So the phone you use to record with, that's what's controlling all of that there?
Correct.
So any glitches in it? I mean, 'cause that phone is working its butt out, seeing like doing all those multitasks there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh, it knocks off the live view on an actual TV when you do it that way?
Yeah, so right now I have the live view off because I'm using it as a slideshow. So I have
DJ, what should the TV settings be on if you're using your iPhone? I know you showed the GoPro, but what should it be on? The settings in the Touchpix app, what should it look like?
Okay, let me do that right now, and I'll show you guys what the settings should look like. So what you want to do on the settings, we're going to want to go into, let me see. Let me just close the app real quick and reopen it. That way I can go to the settings. So I'm going to go over to, settings. I'm going to toggle to the right. TV session. Make sure it's always on, right, on your iPad. Because the iPad is the sharing station. These are the settings that I have. I leave them pretty standard. But so you can see what I'm talking about, I'm gonna show you guys one more time in slow motion. Here we go, right? Once you have the settings set up, right, you're gonna wanna just go back, make sure you make the connection again. You only do the connection once. Since I'm closing the app to show you guys, that's the reason why I'm doing it. But I'm gonna go
If I'm not using a slideshow, my slideshow on my phone should be 0 on that time.
What do you mean?
Because I opened up where you were talking about just to see it, and then I see my slideshow time says 5.0. Should I put that at 0 or no?
No, leave it at 5.0. No.
Got it.
Leave it at 5.0. Give me a sec here, real quick.
DJ, I have a question for you. On the Apple TV, are you there? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, so, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So I want you guys to see something real quick. So now that I have my sharing station up and going, right? And now my iPhone's up and going, this is my slideshow right here. So the slideshow is going to continue to play these videos up here as the event keeps on going, right? That's what the slideshow is going to look like. They're centered. You can do this with the GoPro. You can do this with the iPhone. It doesn't matter. It's the same way with both devices, right? I'm going to record another video. That way you guys can see it real quick. That way we have multiple QR codes up there, right? So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Let it do its thing. It's still processing. Look, my iPad has one video there. As soon as this is done processing, you're gonna see the video sync over to my iPad. It'll have multiple videos, and the slideshow is just gonna continue to play.
DJ, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
On the Apple TV, it's a two-part question. Do you recommend the 32 or the 64 GB? And then what generation do we need to get for it to be compatible with the Touchpix software?
Yeah, so any new app, any new iPad will work. Any like new iPad that you buy at the store will work. As long as you're able to load iOS 14 or 15, you should be good to go.
No, I'm
Right.
saying for the Apple TV, the Apple box.
Oh, that doesn't really matter. You can get the basic one, the 32 gigs. You're not actually storing anything on there.
Okay, and it doesn't matter what generation?
Well, it does. It needs to be at least the 4th generation is what I will recommend. It works with the 3rd. The 3rd is a little glitchy, but I would recommend now the 4th moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
So you got your slideshow working up there, and then you got the second video that's synced up here. So those are basically the new developments with the Touchpix app. You can share with the GoPro, you can share with the iPhone, you can do online sync, you can set up multiple iPads if that's what you want to do, right? If for whatever reason your gallery is not syncing, right? If your gallery is not syncing, you have this online sync button that'll definitely sync up with the other. If your iPad disconnects, it'll sync up, right? It'll sync up by pressing the sync button once they're both connected. It's just more enhancements more than anything else. And as you can see, the videos will continue to play. I know you can't see it move because I wasn't moving my phone too much, but the QRs will pop up, the videos will continue to move. And throughout the night, you'll be playing videos and sharing in that capacity without any issues. Now, with the GoPro, you're able to do the same exact thing by enabling external slideshow and making sure your slideshow's always on. And that's a key component to this, you know.
Right. I have a question here.
Sure.
All right. Now with the iPhone and everything, I'm pretty good at it with mirror with the TV. I have no problem with that. With the GoPro, I mean, it seemed like you guys with the new update, so now you can do the live view. Like you said, you just have to go and change that setting. Instead of external, you have to change it to slideshow, correct?
Correct.
Now, you know, with the GoPro, it's either use an iPad or iPhone as your trigger. So now let's say if I'm using iPad as a trigger for the GoPro or a phone, whatever the case might be. Now, which one I link with the TV, the sharing station? Because I can't do that with the same phone I'm using as a trigger, correct?
Correct. You do the sharing station.
You do the sharing station, but
Correct.
the sharing station would be able to mirror and do the slideshow with the barcode on the bottom. Like
Exactly.
you just don't have the live view, but you do have the
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah, you
Gotcha.
got it. Yeah,
Perfect.
did you guys understand his question? Or no? Do you guys want me to explain it a little bit further, or did you guys understand that?
Yes, just run it back.
Okay, so
Yes,
I'm
so
gonna,
you can go ahead and explain
I'm,
that.
I'm gonna run it back. So he's using a GoPro, right? So the unique thing with the GoPro is when you're controlling a GoPro, you need a device, whether it be your iPhone or your iPad. However, the way it communicates with the GoPro is that your Wi-Fi from your GoPro connects to your Wi-Fi from the iPad. So at that point, you're not able to screen mirror off one device. You have to use an external, a separate iPad to be able to screen mirror the slideshow, right? One, because your original device that's connected to your GoPro, it only serves for that purpose. It serves in the fact that that device controls your recording. That's it. It's not a limitation on the app. It's a limitation on the GoPro. You're not able to share Wi-Fi bands, basically. So that's why you need to introduce a second sharing station to be able to mirror that slideshow. I hope that made sense for a lot of you.
So just that I'm clear with the live view and
Okay, now
the
since we got the slideshow, you know, the old update, you know, they had just like the gray screen if the slideshow's not working. So now we can activate the slideshow. So now it's like an attraction thing now if the spinner's not working.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
And what was your question, ma'am?
Thank you. I was trying to ask with the live view in the slideshow, Those two, it has to be one or the other. You can't do both at the same time, or you can do both at the same time.
Yeah, it has to be one or the other, correct?
One or the other. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to go into, because those were basically the new features, right? The features of the sharing station, the way you're able to sync online. If I had another iPad handy, I would be able to show you how I can use multiple iPads now. The improvement of the range also was improved, meaning that typically we would recommend that you have your iPad about 10 feet away from your iPhone. That way the files communicate quicker. Now the range, you can probably move it away, 15 feet is what I would recommend now, up to 15 feet to make sure that the connection stays solid. So that's improved. The sharing station improves. Now you don't have to duplicate events to operate your sharing station. One QR code runs it all, and which is a time saver and it's less confusing for people. So those are huge improvements, right? I'm going to see if the developer can expand on the slideshow. It's on the list for sure to make it full screen. I'd love to see the slideshow full screen and not have to waste a lot of my real estate space, because if you're taking a 50-inch TV, you want it to use as much screen as possible, right? And to make them big and making sure that people you get people's attention with that. So I think it's a good feature, but that's a work in progress. So I'm going to go into the software now, and I'm going to do it in a way where I'm going to go through an event, and hopefully I can answer questions along the way. So I'm going to go ahead and switch screens for the software currently. Let me go ahead and do that.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
You had answered it, but I didn't really get to hear it. And you were saying that if your provider doesn't work because you're out somewhere and you don't have a good signal, you just suggest to AirDrop.
Correct. AirDrop, you don't need any internet connection to AirDrop. Okay. AirDrop is probably the best way to share a file. It's quick, it's efficient, but we understand the people with Androids are not able to get that, right?
Right.
That's the limitation right now with AirDrop, is just people with Androids. But if, my events, there's probably not a lot of people with Androids. There's probably about 10 or 15 people with Androids. Always have them punch in that phone number, but just let them know, because they have an Android, their content is going to be a little delayed. And if they want their content immediately, typically, often than not, what works for me is they're usually with a friend that has an iPhone. AirDrop it to their friend and have their friend send it to them via text message. They can do it that way.
Thank you.
No problem. So I'm going to go ahead and start an event from scratch.
DJ,
Okay. Sure.
When you text message an Android phone or videos, it's grainy. So I wouldn't recommend that they do that, even if they're with somebody. If they're with somebody, they should send it through either Facebook or Instagram so they can download it to their device. But
yeah, either that or email. Email is probably the best way, to be honest with you.
It'd be grainy.
Yeah, email. Yeah, and I forget sometimes because it's been a little while since I've had my Android. But yes, you're right. Sometimes communication between iOS and Android via text, it gets compressed. So if you have the option to email it to somebody, or you're right, through social media platforms, go ahead and do it that way. Thank you for that.
I'm sorry, before you move on, quick question.
Sure.
On the TV session, live view have to stay on. TV session doesn't have to stay on, okay?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Under the setting, like when you activate the event.
If you're using an iPhone and you want to do the live view recording, then leave live view on if you're using an iPhone. If you're using a GoPro, live view will not work. You have to put it on.
Oh, it will not work anyways. But correct. Even if it's on, it won't create no glitch or nothing, no?
I would turn it off if you're using a GoPro. Because
GoPro, okay.
Yeah.
Same thing for TV session, leave it off?
If you're using, no, the TV session, I think that may need to be enabled if you're using it as a slideshow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go through an event on how to create an event. So first of all, what I want to say is, again, I went a little backwards on my webinar today, but I wanted to highlight those new updates because there was probably people on the call that just wanted to know what's up with those new updates. Is it worth it, right? Is it worth waiting for those new updates? But we're trying to improve our software. The best the best possible way we can, right? We listen to our customers and we try to make improvements. And Slideshow, it's still a work in progress, but that's getting worked on. So what I want to also highlight is the following, right? To measure your internet speed, always go download this app or go to your computer and do a speed test. This speed test is going to give you your IP address from home or your internet provider. And all you do is hit go and it's going to measure your speed, right? So right now you're looking at my download speed. And I think I'm connected to a specific router. That's probably why I'm having a little bit of issues. Okay, I'm connected to a 2G router right now, which my download speed isn't the best, right? But I'm not actually focused on my download speed. Touchpix focuses on your upload speed. As long as your upload speed is above a 7, you will do okay with sharing your files at an event. If you do a speed test before any event and you have lower speeds than a 7, then that may tell you try to deliver your content via Airdrop as much as possible, right? Mine's a 15. Yes, it's a pretty good speed for sharing. So that's a tool. It's a free tool, and I always start with that. That way you guys can actually save that speedtest.net or download an app on your phone, right?
So you do it while you're at home, or you
no,
do
you
it when
do it at your event. Do it when
Okay.
you get to your event before you it's one of the very first things I do before I set up. I go to my app, log into the Wi-Fi or use my cellular signal to determine what my speeds are, because that's going to be my gauge on how my night's going to go. Okay, so after that, I'm going to go from the beginning. I'm going to start with Touchpix, right? And with Touchpix, I want you guys to know that you guys need to create an account. In my case, I have an account already, right? I'm going to log out just to show you. And once I log out of my account, if you don't have an account, you create an account right here where it says register for an account. And please register for an account with an email address that's associated to your Apple device. It makes it a lot easier when you do that, okay? Once you have your account, you're just going to go ahead and log in. And once you log in, you're going to live on what's called a dashboard. This is your dashboard, right? In your dashboard, you're just going to go over to where it says you're going to be given some choices. Create an event, create an event from a preset, or create a custom event. I like to teach the webinars where you're creating an event custom, because it's walking you through every single step. That way you understand how the function, how everything functions correctly. If you're in a hurry, if you're in a pinch, if you want to create an event from a preset, you can do that. It's a 3-click process, right? It's going to ask you some questions as far as what equipment you have, and you're going to move forward. However, if you do create the event from a preset, you're basically allowing Touchpix to provide default settings for you, logos and music. It'll be provided for you. You'd still have to go back in there to change your logo and the music if you do it this way. But it's a quick and dirty way of doing it. I don't like to show it too much with this method because it's like a cheat code, right? It's having you get into a habit of doing a shortcut. And I don't like that, because more than likely you'll be calling me on the weekend with a support question because you're taking shortcuts. I like to teach it with create a custom event. The create a custom event's the best way to learn how to use Touchpix. Touchpix is a very easy software to learn, but it does, take a little bit of playing around with to feel comfortable with it. This is basically a list. Once you complete this list, you've created a successful event. I'm going to start from the top and explain what the detailed items are. First, you're going to name this event. I'm going to call it webinar, today's date, 10/27, right? That's the name of my event. You can name it wedding, you can name it sweet 16, you can name it birthday party, something that helps you identify this event. The language is English. The country of origin, unless you're outside the US, you're always going to use US. Countdown. Countdown is like any other photo booth software. Countdown just means it's going to take 4 seconds before it actually starts recording. I like to set my countdown around 3 seconds. During the countdown process, it gives me the availability to tell my guests when they're up on the platform what to do. There's a lot of guests up in a platform that have never been on a 360 before. So this is my opportunity to tell them, move this way. You can do a little dance, right? Do something with movement. A lot of these guests, you're never going to believe they've never been on a 360. So every time you tell them it's going to record in slow motion, they start moving in slow motion. You got to explain to them, hey, look, move normal or do something fun with movement. It's actually going to record in slow motion. But know that after the 3 seconds goes down, you tell your guest to move and it'll start recording. This is also a good part to practice, right? How many of you have done a 360 event where the camera recording starts on the people's backs? I hate that. That's a big pet peeve of mine. So you're going to learn where to position your camera. So when the 3 seconds expire, it starts recording at the frontal view of people instead of their backs. So that comes with practice, right? There's no right or wrong answer because everybody has different platforms. Some of them are manual, some of them are automatic. You're going to learn what your workflow looks like by adjusting your timing and your speed of your platform. The beep sound here means that for every second, it's going to give you an auditory beep. If you're in a live party where there's music around, this may not even matter. I just get in the habit of checking it off anyways, meaning that for every second you hear a loud beep representing the sound. The mirror overlay preview, leave it disabled. This has to do with your artwork. Once you load your artwork, if your artwork happens to have lettering or text, it's just going to have the mirror effect to it, meaning that it's going to appear like it's in reverse. It doesn't mean that it's going to come out that way. It's just by enabling this feature, it's going to look like it has the mirror effect. Always feel free to hover over the question mark because it's also going to give you a pretty detailed explanation on what that feature does. As we go down, for those of you using iPhones, you're going to go on ahead and click rear camera. If you're using a GoPro, you don't necessarily need to check this off, but I would recommend that you do and make that switch on the software end because, you know, I've been doing this for a little bit over 2 years, and sometimes maybe you have a bad wire on your GoPro, a bad USB-C, or you forget to charge up your battery pack, you know, and now you're going to have to pivot to an iPhone. So I always like to check it where you're using a rear camera. That way you're using the settings in the event that you need to pivot to an iPhone, you're ready to go. You don't have to adjust any of the camera settings. Everything's already done in the event that you're having issues with your GoPro based on battery not having enough charge, or you're having a bad cable experience. You could pivot extremely fast. So check rear camera, camera exposure. I always leave this enabled. Camera exposure just means that you have access to your camera menu. So if you're going to an event and you're at a dark club and you didn't bring enough lighting, you have access to locate your camera settings and hopefully try to find some settings that are enhancing some of that output, right? Like a normal camera. You have exposure settings and you have what's called ISO settings that you can boost up to try to give your camera a better look, right? So always leave those on. QR protection, leave them off. QR protection, in my opinion, is meant for people who are using photo booths and are using drop-off units. QR protection, if you do enable it, every little setting that you do, it's going to ask you for the original QR code to have access to this backend. Without it, you are not going to have access to the backend. Okay, so just leave it off. You don't need it for 360. And of course, we're not printing. This is not a photo booth. This is a video booth. So we're going to do no printing. Make sure you select no printing. As far as functions, we're only focused on slow motion for 360s during this event. We're going to unclick all of these functions. We're only going to leave slow motion function on. And for the person that was telling me, what do you recommend as a default recording time? This is your default recording time, 4.5 seconds. If you do 4.5 seconds and you enable the boomerang, what the boomerang does, it's after it applies its effects and it plays the video back, the boomerang will just play the video in reverse order. Therefore, it's called a boomerang. But if you have 4.5 seconds and you have the boomerang selected to the on position, you're looking at least a 14 to 15 second file at the very end, right? If you want to deliver a longer file, I would suggest maybe moving this up to maybe 5 or 6 seconds. 5 or 6 seconds for me are like my sweet spots. You really don't need anything beyond that, unless you want a larger file. But know that if you want a larger file, it's going to demand a little bit more time processing, and it's going to demand a little bit more time as far as data goes, right? So if you're sharing something and your sharing connection, Wi-Fi is not that great, 4.5 seconds may be the way you're going to want to go. The longer your file is, the bigger the file is. So just keep that in mind.
DJ, on that note right there, I noticed on the app itself in session there, you also have where you can select slow-mo record time. Does that affect that time? If I set it for 6 on the computer, and then I get on my phone, I'm at a function somewhere and say, okay, I want to reduce that recording time. So on the phone where it says session, you have an area there where you can also set the time length there.
Yeah, so what he's explaining to you is the phone settings, right? I'm explaining the web settings. So what I want to be clear is that these web settings, when you're done with these web settings, that's how it appears on your phone, because you're basically transferring via QR when you're scanning it, the settings from the web to your phone. That's where it grabs them from. But say you're at an event and on the web you decided to go 6 seconds, and maybe it was too long for you and you didn't like the way it looked and you maybe wanted to cut it down a few seconds. Well, you have the ability on your actual phone, where the gentleman just described, right, to change that time up or down, right? And whatever is on your phone is what's going to be your operating orders, basically, right? Unless you hit refresh event, then it'll default back to these original settings. But yeah, you can do some adjustments on your phone. I don't recommend you do that at the beginning till you get really familiar with your software. That way you're not punching and removing some of the key settings that you did here. But yes, you're able to do that on your phone, correct?
Thank you.
So slow-mo boomerang, we covered. It just plays it in reverse at the end. So this is the area where there was another young lady who came in and said, where do you add audio? This is where you add the audio. If you have an audio file that you've already downloaded from the internet, royalty-free, from any of those sites that I put on the chat bar, audiojungle.net, Bend Sound, Epidemic Sounds, they all have royalty-free music. Even Touchpix gives you free royalty-free music. I think they give you 10 tracks, right? Touchpix, you're able to load it from the phone. But if you own an MP3 file from the internet or from a provider that you purchased it from, it'll allow you to put an MP3 track here. You can go ahead and hit choose file. If you organization skills are up to par and you created a folder like I explained at the beginning on your desktop, and you're dumping all your files inside that folder, all you have to do is point it to that file. In this case, it's called trap. And now it's loaded onto this. And you see the file name there, and you just keep on moving on. We're not going to do screen flash. Screen flash is for the photo booth side. It simulates the flash. Again, you don't need it for slow motion. And here where it says editing, you're going to go ahead and zero these out. What these are is it's giving people up to, and these represent seconds. So it's giving people 8 seconds for a thank you, 10 seconds for props. Again, these are photo booth functions. The only one you're going to want to leave active is sharing, meaning it gives people up to 12 seconds to input their text or email address once they reach, if they reach the sharing column on that device, right? So you can go ahead and make some adjustments here. I recommend you guys start with leaving it at 12 seconds. Everything else is zeroed out. Now your sharing options, you have SMS, which represents text messaging. You have email. I never use Facebook. I never use Twitter, and I never use copy. WhatsApp is a fairly new way of sharing for people that are international, even though WhatsApp is heavily used now in places like Florida and even California now. So you can use WhatsApp, but that's more of your international way of sharing it with people. Again, text message, email, WhatsApp. The reason why I don't use Twitter or Facebook, if you allow these functions to be on and the guest punches in Facebook, they will be required to type in their full Facebook email address and their full Facebook password to be able to allow it to share to their page. A lot of people don't know that information. They forget it. So just share it via email or text, because once it's on their phone, they'll be able to share it to their own Twitter or Facebook if they have it on their phone. So it's kind of redundant, but it gives you that option. The reason why I check off download, a lot of people ask why download is important. So like we discussed earlier, if a person decides to share it to their phone via text message, they're not getting the actual video being sent via text. What they get is a hyperlink, meaning there's a link of where to download that video. Well, Apple and iOS devices are notorious for handling links, right? So they want complete control. So when a person from an iPhone hits the link, naturally the Safari web browser, because Safari web browser is native to Apple, opens up. And the Safari web browser doesn't give you a download button by default. So you need to click this download icon so that a download button appears, right? So that's very important for you to click that download on the Safari web browser. For Android users, that doesn't matter. That Android users can download basically off of anything. It doesn't have those limitations. Airdrop would be my primary choice of sharing if you have that option from iPhone to iPhone. And of course, if you have an active Wi-Fi connection, QR code is also very important. So you can share by way of QR code, okay? Depending on what options you choose, this is the way you can brand your subject lines. So if I'm using a text option, you can brand it with your business name saying, thank you for using XYZ photo booth. Again, please don't put some of those characters like slashes or dashes or .com, because that can cause a red flag and prevent your message from being sent because of text message regulations, not because of Touchpix, because of the provider regulations. So try to be creative with that, right? You can spell it out. Thank you for using XYZ.com instead of using characters. Phone numbers are pretty common, so you can feel free to put some phone numbers without the dashes. And that's how the customer is going to receive the text and the subject heading. I usually keep these 4 boxes consistent to my brand. So, you're not putting different text in every area. Keep them very consistent. As we go down, we're not using props, so make sure it's selected to no props, right? So this is the branding area. Branding area is important. You're going to want to put your company name. You can put XYZ photo booth or video booth.com without violating any type of restriction from different characters. So you can go ahead and put that there. So the options that you have here is for 4 different logos. One for the app logo. So the app logo is what's located on your sharing station in the middle, right? In the middle top of your sharing station. Whatever logo you put there, that's what it's going to appear. It also controls the logo that appears on your Apple TV, in the middle top of the screen. So that whatever logo you input here, that's where it's located. The app background means it's a logo that you'll see behind the Touchpix functions, behind the slow-mo button. So that'll be your business logo, or maybe you get creative and type in the event or custom make a logo for the whatever wedding that you're doing. This is where you will load that. And the last icon is your web gallery logo. So when you share your web gallery, whatever logo is here, that logo will be kind of watermarked in the background. That's your way of branding. I'm going to go ahead and touch on the attract screen. I don't use it.
Before you go,
Go
so
ahead.
when you said the app background, that's where we need to upload the backdrops that we made in Canva?
No, that is just, this is just the background for your business, right? This is how you brand Touchpix without having the Touchpix logo. You want to put your logo here. That way behind the controls of the Touchpix app, you can see your logo.
Okay.
Right? That's where it's at. So I'm going to go over to the attract screen, and the attract screen is Once you get a little bit more familiar with Touchpix, I'd recommend you use it. You don't have to use this. This is optional. But say you're doing a wedding for somebody and you want to personalize it with an attract screen. This just means that the attract screen logo that you put, it's either a logo or you can be a video file, right? So when your booth is not being used, maybe they're doing the toast or maybe they're doing some formalities for the wedding, you can have a video pop up with the bride and groom's picture, right? Just that plays in a loop while it's not being used. As soon as you tap the screen, you'll get the normal controls. You don't need it. It's an optional feature. Definitely, it makes your brand stand out a little bit more if you know how to do these kind of things. Again, it's optional. Again, if you have your branding info, put them in a folder on your desktop, and this is how you're going to select them. You're going to click on Choose File. You're going to go over to your folder. I'm going to use these Touchpix logos, but pretend you can use whatever logo pertains to your business. And I'm going to use the same logo in all 3 locations, right? Because that's my brand. I'm pretending like that's my brand, right? If I hover over the logo, you can see that the size of the logo is 2100 by 15 in pixels. It's a pixel size, not in inches, pixels. Make sure that you keep it under 2500. I think if you keep it under 2500, either whatever aspect ratio you want, you'll be fine, right?
I have a question.
Sure.
Is there a way of even seeing what that looks like before activating the event, the branding section that you're doing right now?
There's no way to actually see it before what it looks like. What I would recommend, if you feel like you need it to a certain aspect ratio, this is kind of considered more of a tip and more of an advanced feature. But if you take a screenshot of your iPad or your iPhone, right, and you email yourself that screenshot, use that as a template of how it's going to look on your device once it's loaded, right? So you can use it as a template and actually apply your logo over it. And once you save it, you'll be confident that that's the way you want it.
Okay, because I once saw a video where to the right upper corner of the video, it was the person's logo, right? And towards the bottom of the video, it had the name of the company spelled out. So where would one put that in that section?
Yeah, that's called an overlay. That's actually in the artwork. We're not there yet.
No, it was actually underneath the overlay. It was the name of the company as opposed to his logo.
I understand that. So what I'm explaining to you, we're not there yet. I'll explain to you when we're there. This is just to brand the app how you want to brand the app. But once we get there, I'll definitely show you how to do that. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
So DJ, are you saying that, I'm sorry, are you saying that the file of your logo, when you go to it, it can be up under 2500 pixels?
Correct.
Okay.
Try not to exceed that, because then the file size becomes unmanageable.
Okay.
Actually, I'm sorry, can I say something quick? Not really a question, but just a suggestion for whoever that asks about if there's a way to test the branding session. That's why it's always best to carry your laptop with you if you use a laptop. That way, if you have to make a quick change, you can always go there and make the change and refresh on your setting. That way, you can make any correction.
Yeah, good suggestion. But also too, what I want to add to that is, I want to add because I want to show you guys how to do stuff correctly. To add to that, I would expect that you guys do this before your event. So you should be ready. If your event's on a Saturday, this event should be being tested at the very minimal on Thursday to make sure that everything is working great. Your logos are on point, your branding is on point, your overlays on point, and you're going to proceed with testing, right? It becomes a little hard to manage when you're trying to do everything, set up your event, make sure everything looks good, and then you discover that your logo looks a little off the day of your event. Don't put that pressure on you. Prepare as much as you can before your event.
I have a question. Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay. Now, for the section for the download part, I've noticed, I never really do it for anybody with Android. From what I heard, when you let's say if they scan the QR code or you send them the link, they just click on it, select it, and then they able to download it. But with iPhone, it's a little process. It's a little process. I mean, for me, it's not a big deal because I kind of discovered how to do it. But with iPhone, when you download it, some people don't know that it went straight to your files folder. Now you have to go to your file folder to save it to your phone, like to your gallery. I mean, is that something you guys probably working on, or maybe if anybody else complain about it, to see if we can make it a lot easier when you
Yeah.
download it the
No,
first time you go straight to the gallery?
yeah, that's a good suggestion. But I assure you, it's not a Touchpix limitation. It's an iOS limitation. Uh, right now, we're looking at ways on how to maybe improve that, but it's really an iOS limitation. It forces you to do it a certain way. But I'll explain to everybody on the call what the gentleman just explained. That way you guys are clear of what he said. I know it may sound confusing right now, but I'll circle back to that and definitely show you guys a live example of what that looks like. So that's the branding section. Okay, I'm gonna briefly touch on motion trigger. Motion trigger is for people who have automatic spinners. And why I say that is, yeah, you can use it on the manual spinner, but I don't recommend it. If you enable motion triggers and you want Touchpix to start by just pressing the remote on your automatic spinner, you're going to want to click motion trigger. Touchpix typically has a, if you're using an iPhone, the iPhones have a built-in GPS. So when the app is on and the iPhone's on the cradle, and it detects that it's being moved, it'll start the recording process, meaning it'll start the countdown process because it's detecting that it's being moved, right? I don't like to teach it this way because there's so many different brands of spinners. It does work. If you want to use it with the motion trigger, try it out. See if it works best for you. The other reason is it's hard to judge at what precise time, the camera is going to go in front of the guest. This is where we're going to run into some recordings where the camera's starting to record the rear of the guest. So, but play around with it. That's what the motion trigger does. I don't like to show it with this webinar, so I'm going to disable it. Lastly is the external session that we just went through earlier. If you're using an iPhone and you want to use the live view recording, leave it as external session, right? If you want to just use a slideshow, make sure that slideshow is set to slideshow. This applies for the GoPro users, right? I'm going to leave it as slideshow for now, and then I'm going to hit submit.
So, DJ, when you got it in slideshow mode, like you got it right now, obviously I know it goes into slideshow on the television. So that doesn't change anything previous to that, right? Or is the countdown and all that good stuff there. So the slideshow pretty much takes effect after the video stops.
Correct.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do now is go over the artwork. I think the artwork is pretty important. I don't scan my phone yet. I'm going to go over to the designer. It's telling you that you still need to design your content before we can actually move on to the next step, right?
DJ1, before you move on to that, can I ask a question really quickly?
Sure.
My question is, sometimes when you have like the, say you're spinning and you upload your video, and the beginning part, it kind of looks very pixel and then it gets clear. Is there something that you can do in the settings to alleviate that, or is that just a Instagram thing?
Yeah, it's a combination of things, and I'm gonna dive into that. Let me finish up the artwork part. Once I scan into it, I'm gonna go into the phone settings or camera settings, and I'll show you where you can make some adjustments there. But primarily, it is a social media limitation. It really depends on how you're doing it. There's so many different ways of uploading content, but social media handles the compression of how your video is going to look. I assure you, your video is going to look 100% on your device because you have it on your device. But once you start uploading it to social media, there's certain parameters that you got to make sure, you're doing to try to get the most high quality content up online, right? But yeah, social media does compress, and we don't have any control over that. So once you hit designer, now we're in the part where you're going to design your artwork. If you look to the left here, there's templates. By default, it's going over to the photo booth side. I don't want that. I'm dealing with slow motion content, so I'm going to hit templates. And there's a drop-down menu. You have to make sure you select slow-mo overlays. If you do not select slow-mo overlays, more than likely you will not be successful at doing it, your overlay design. Once you're at slow-mo overlay, you're going to see that you're given 5 options. Option 1 is considered a vertical phone placement, meaning that your phone is with the camera on top. Option 2, 3, and 4, these can be with the phone on landscape position, meaning that the camera is on its side. Option 5 gives you a cropped out vertical position. I often get asked the question, which overlay gives you a full body shot? Every single overlay gives you a full body shot. It's really not up to the overlay. It's up to you on how you position your angle on your arm and how you practice with it. But you can achieve that with any of these templates. Obviously, I think the vertical templates look a little bit better with it, but you practice with it and you're going to achieve that. I'm going to cover overlay 2 because it seems to be the most popular overlay. It's a square overlay. It's Instagram friendly. It's social media friendly. It measures 1072 by 1072 pixels, and we'll go over the size in a bit. But once you're confident of which overlay you want to choose, you're going to click on that overlay. The overlay pops over here to your right-hand side. You're going to see the silhouette. The silhouette just represents, this is where your video is going to appear. And you could actually design it with very basic designs under Touchpix. If you go over to stickers, all of these files you're able to use to design. I'm not a designer. I usually have somebody design for me, but I'll show you really quick on how you're able to do that. For example, if I wanted hearts, I'm going to click on the heart. Once you click on it, it applies it to your screen. You're able to drag it with these little corners. You're able to make it bigger. The middle corner, you're able to tilt it, right? In the event that I wanted a heart border, I could put it here. If I wanted to change the color of this heart, you can play with the hue or the saturation, and it changes the color, right? The opacity, the luminance, it'll give you different effects. If I want that color and I just wanted to create a border of that heart, I hit this duplicate section and it duplicates your initial, and you can just start creating a pattern and make that a border. Like I said, I'm not a designer, but it gives you ideas on how to use this clip art, right? I'm going to erase that. If you want to input text, you're also able to input some text. If you click on the text background right here, you're going to click on large text. You're going to see large text pop up. You're going to drag it down, extend your text box a little bit.
Play it down.
Right?
With them damn animals. Wait up.
On the right, on the left-hand side, you're going to see this number. This number represents the size of your text.
Too bad.
So the size of your text here,
Animals up, man.
the size of your text here, you can increase it, right? Once you increase it, you can actually even use this drop-down menu to change your font. For example, I'm going to use this font currently, and let's try to use this here, something real simple. Now I'm ready to write in here. I'm going to double click inside this text box. Once you double click, you're given that cursor, and then you can actually write whatever it is. Happy birthday would be my text, right? If I don't want it black, this is where this the lady at the beginning said that she wasn't able to change her font. Not sure if she's using a Windows-based computer, but you do need to be Windows-based or Mac OS. If she's using an iPad or a Android Chromebooks of some sort, she may have complications, but to change the text color is easy as this. Go over to your text box color, click on it, say I want it yellow for the purposes of just it standing out for now. Click on whatever color it is that you want and hit accept. If you look at the text and now change colors, say I'm happy with that and I want to drag it to the middle, you can actually even use this enable grid function to make sure the text is centered, right? As soon as I'm happy with that, I disable the grid, right? And I just wanted to say happy birthday. If I want to add my logo, there was a question about the logo, right? Having artwork or having logo, you can do it this way. If you have your logo or a text that has your business name, you can do it this way. But if you have a logo, you can always go over to where it says uploads, and you're going to want to use what's called a custom sticker. I'm going to hit browse. Let's pretend this Instagram logo is my logo. Make sure it's a PNG file, which makes it transparent, doesn't have a background. I'm going to hit open. My logo is going to be at the very top, this Instagram file that I just uploaded, and here it is. I can now position this logo, pretending this is my business logo, wherever I want in the overlay, right? I'm going to put it on the top right-hand corner. So I'm going to go a step further. If you have somebody do custom designs for you, go over to where it says uploads again. If you hover over the question mark, it's giving you all the sizes for these templates. So whoever's designing this artwork for you, they're going to want to ask for the template size. In this case, it's template 2. The size is 1072 by 1072. They'll create an artwork for you, right? So once they create that artwork for you, more than likely they're going to email it to you. You're going to download it. You're going to put it in your folder on your desktop. And now you're going to click on custom overlay. Under custom overlay, you're going to select your template. This is my template here. All it is, it's a square. You see it applies a gold square. That's my overlay, right? Maybe I don't like this text. I'm going to delete it. Now I want to add, you know, a design that somebody gave me. I'm going to go ahead and go to uploads again. Click stickers. Go into my folder again where my designs are that somebody gave me or created for me. Hit open. Now I have that name up here. I click on it and I'm able to drag it in place. I could actually make that name bigger, right? And it looks much better than the standard text options that I have on Touchpix, right? Centered. Say I'm happy with that design. If I'm happy with this design, my logo, my frame, the name, now I'm going to hit add template. Make sure you
Question, I'm sorry, before you move forward. You see where the name is at the bottom, Natalia Sophia?
Correct.
I once saw a video where the person's spelled out their logo at the bottom. It almost looked like as if it was a watermark, right? Let's say you have that Instagram logo up there, right?
Yeah.
And the person's spelled it out, right?
Yeah.
And then they stick it down there where the name is. And when the videos play, you could see it at the background almost as if it was some sort of a watermark.
Yeah, you can
How
do
do
that.
you do that?
You can do that with this too. So let's pretend that this is my logo here that I want it watermarked, right? Or you can even write a text here, logo or text. You need to create it first. Once you have it, right, and you want to place it here and you say you want it like a watermark, you see this icon here that says opacity? Opacity makes it look like you're gonna fade it out. You see how as I'm moving it, it's almost looking like it's invisible?
Yes.
That's basically your watermark feature, right? Where you can still tell is your brand, your video, your logo. If I hit opacity to 0, that you won't see it. But if you want it just subtle, where people can still know that it's your video, your brand, you play with the opacity. That's all it is.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Super simple.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna put this back up here. Right? And once I'm ready, I'm going to hit add template, but make sure when you hit add template, you're adding it to your event that you just named. In this case, it's webinar 1027. And once you're up and going, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get this other screen to work now.
How would you add a photo there?
Yeah, you can. It's same way. You're going to add it as a sticker, right? If I go
Oh,
upload,
photo as a sticker.
add
Okay,
it as a sticker. The photo needs to be transparent, and you can place it wherever you want. Same
like
thing.
a photo of a person?
Correct. Correct. I'll show you real quick. I might have somebody's files here. Let me see. Sorry, I have a pretty messy desktop here. Okay, Touchpix files. Right, so these are not my files, so just kind of bear with me. Yeah, I almost don't even want to use them because they're not mine.
And those have to be like the size of the template?
Correct. Well, not necessarily. You can have it. Well, I'm going to use this. It belongs to a client, but this is just for illustration purposes. So this is a photo. It's a PNG file. I'm going to hit open. Right. It's now up here. Now his photo is right here. Now I could put his photo wherever I want to put his photo. Right.
Right. So how big is
you can make it as big as you want, but obviously the bigger the picture, the better quality. This wasn't a good quality photo that they gave me, but you know, sometimes I work with whatever they have, and and you know, you can place it wherever you want, basically, right? So that's how you do that.
The smaller the numbers, is that the bigger the pixels?
No, the bigger the numbers, the bigger the pixels.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So and then after you're done, what you're gonna do is you add it to your template, right? And then you're gonna go over to my account. You're gonna go back to events. This is how you check that everything is in order, right? This is where you check after you create your event. You're gonna want to go to that specific event, go check out overlays, and make sure that the artwork is under slow-mo. And if so, you see it here, then you're pretty much good to go to, you're ready to scan your event. So that's where I'm gonna go right now. I'm gonna go my events. I already verified that it's there. So now I'm gonna click QR code. And I'm gonna try to minimize this page, and I'm gonna try to screen mirror my phone once again. And let's go ahead and screen mirror my phone. That way you guys can see the entire process. Put in my magic numbers here. Yeah, this took a little while for me to explain, but I assure you, once you guys get familiar with the software, it shouldn't take you longer than 10 minutes. It actually takes me about 3 minutes to create an event or sooner. It's it's just more of you playing with the software, making sure you feel comfortable and moving forward from there. So now I'm screen mirroring my phone. Here we go. And you're seeing my iPhone on the right. And I'm going to open up Touchpix. I'm going to activate my event. I'm going to activate it as an active event, give permissions, and I'm going to scan that QR code.
I don't see the phone. I don't see the phone at all.
Okay. So I just scanned it. Are you able to see it now?
Yeah.
I just scanned it.
You did all this after you did your overlay design.
Correct.
You went back and pulled your QR code up.
Yeah, and I scanned it. So now that I scanned it, it recognized the event, it loaded the event. So now we're at the phone function. So now I'm going to go into the actual settings and explain the settings, right? So essentially what the QR code is, it just transfers the settings online onto your phone. That's all it does. Everything that you created online is transferred over to your phone. So now when it loads correctly, you're going to want to hit this icon up there, right? And go into settings to make sure that your settings are correct, right? There's my 6 seconds. This is an important part. If you ever delete the app and reinstall, make sure that this compress at the very beginning is set to ultra high quality. This is the best quality that Touchpix offers in recording, right? By default is medium quality. You want to set it to ultra high quality. And
what is it?
Again, it's settings. You're going to hit settings. It's the fourth option down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Compress, ultra high quality. Okay. So I'm going to explain what this does. Some people like it, some people don't. So go ahead.
Do you click on that UHQ?
You just click on it. You tap on it. Correct.
When you say default setting, is that something your developers are working on so that it automatically just default the UHQ?
No, because everybody's situation is different. So The developer left it at medium quality because a lot of people operate with lower standard Wi-Fi speeds, right? Not everybody, but medium quality makes it so where the file still looks presentable, right? But it doesn't demand a high upload speed. So if you have a high upload speed, you change it to UHQ. We want everybody to be successful, so that's why we left it at medium quality. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to go back, right? I'm going to go back into the home screen. So if I were to mount this phone sideways onto my platform, and you're looking at this screen, right? There's no way where you can see if the person is in frame or not unless you hit the slow-mo button and then your countdown starts. And then I'm going to hit X. And this can get annoying, right? So what I'm going to do now, it disconnected one more time. Give me a sec here. Yeah, my internet's buggy. We just had a winter storm, so that knocked down my internet a little bit. So just kind of bear with me here. I'm going to go back into it. So you're going to see a function that's called, let me see if it goes back in. Here we go. Yeah, and I know it's a lot of information, and this is kind of the reason why I like to go from the beginning in a sequence, because it's better for people to understand that way. Okay, let's do it one more time. Hopefully I don't have any more connection issues. So if you see this function here on Touchpix, if you go into settings, if you see this initial function called, the first one called live view background, if this is enabled and I go back, it basically, damn it, disconnected. It basically makes your live view instead of seeing your logo, you'll be able to see your live view on the fly. So that's a good function. A lot of people like it. A lot of people just don't like the way that looks, but it's more of a preference thing. I'm going to connect one more time. Hopefully.
So it's like a preview.
It's a preview. That way you're not hitting record and then going back and forth. You're ensuring that everybody's in frame as you're getting your guests up there. And you know that everybody's at a different height. Some people are short, some people are tall. So I always recommend people to just enable that live view background. That way you're not having to guess if people are in frame or not.
Got it.
You know, so it's gonna look like this, right? This is the live view background. That's how it's gonna look like. So now you know people are in frame, and you can just hit slow-mo and it'll start recording. Okay. So now we're gonna go back into the camera settings. So first we're gonna go back into settings.
Oh yeah, I like live view.
So from there, we're gonna hit this arrow button here, the side arrow. Printer is set to none. That's correct. So this is for GoPro users where you're gonna go into your GoPro mode. But before you go into your GoPro mode, follow these next recommendations. For people using the iPhone, make sure that you're on the back camera. The back camera is the best camera. You never want to use the front camera. Unless you have an iPhone 13, I heard the iPhone 13 may be a good option for that. But we're going to go into your camera settings. So if you have an iPhone 11, 12, or 13, leave it on auto exposure, right? And your lens, you're going to make sure you tap on lens and set it to ultra wide. Once you move it to ultra wide, it's going to tell you that you're going to have to adjust your slow-mo speed. You hit understood. Now you're going to want to adjust your slow-mo speed right here, this top box. Tap on that, and you're going to want to adjust it to recommended settings are 1920 by 1080 at 120 frames per second, and hit done. It's the first option.
This isn't with GoPro. This isn't with GoPro, is it?
No, this is the iPhone, but I always recommend that you set it up with your iPhone this way. And the event that if your GoPro goes bad because of a bad cable or a bad battery, these settings are ready to rock and roll on your iPhone, and you can just pivot over to your iPhone versus you scrambling around trying to get the optimal setting in the middle of an event. It's stressful. So once you have these settings and now you have your GoPro, I recommend now you switch it over to your GoPro by toggling up to GoPro up here and making your connection, right? Because it stays on those settings and it saves it on those settings, right? So that's the only difference.
So why they got so many duplicate settings there of the 1920 1080 and the 1920, you know, all those 60 and then 120, 240? Why they got so many duplicates there in that setting?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of devices out there. I think it had to do with some of the older devices that were out there that Touchpix used to be compatible with. Again, I'll make a note of it for the developer. If he can simplify it, you know, I'll let him know if there's an easy way to do that. But always know that it's the first option that we're recommending you use. 1080, 1920 by 1080 at 120, the very first option. You go from there. Okay.
I noticed on my iPad Pro it has 240.
Yeah, I understand, and some of them do. Your iPhone 11, 12, or 13 can record at 240 as well. But in order for you to record at 240, your lighting has to be pretty premium, right?
Yeah,
You have to
right.
be lit up great without any flickering. So we
Right.
recommend 120. It's more manageable. 240 also gives you larger file sizes. So 120 seems to be what the industry right now is working with. So that's what we're going to recommend. You're going to want to hit this side arrow here again, just so you understand that your video effects live here. This is also a change on the update. If you're gonna use video effects, right? Now you got the update to add an effect. Before you would see a list of effects here. Now you got to tell Touchpix what effect you want to use. But before we go there, for people that want to load audio files from Touchpix, Touchpix gives you free audio files. So you want to hit audio right here on this green tab. Right?
Wait a minute. Audio on the green tab.
I'm sorry, not the green tab, the gray box. You're going to hit audio. I'm actually going to delete the audio because by deleting the audio, it's going to delete the audio file that I loaded from the web. If you want to load an audio track from your phone, you're going to delete audio, and then you're going to add an effect, right? Add an effect, and you're going to look for the effect called music. If you hit music, you're going to hit done, right? You're going to see this music tab open up. You're going to select it with your finger, and it's telling you that Touchpix has music files that are ready for you to use, and it's going to download. Hit OK.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Shoot. What happened? Oh, man. Music. Oh, hit done. Got it.
Because I'm screen mirroring, it's not allowing for it to do it multiple times, but it's going to give you about 10 music tracks. You're going to choose a music track from there, from 1 to 10. It's going to download the content. Okay.
When will it come up?
You're going to hit OK and hit OK. I'm screen mirroring, so I got a lot of stuff going on right now. So it's preventing it from actually downloading it on my end. Okay. But if you have a clear connection on your end, you should be able to have it come up.
Are you able to hear the music from here to see which one you want to select?
Exactly. You can just preview it and go from there.
Okay.
Is this a section that people usually add the hyper zoom effects? Is that where you found that as well?
Yeah. So after that, we're going to go into that. So now I'm going to just kind of select music. I'm going to delete.
Oh, I see the music.
DJ, before you get out of there, obviously I'm following along with you on my phone here where the music at. And when I click on the music, the box come up. In order to use this effect, we need to download the files.
Correct.
And I hit OK, but I'm not getting any files downloading.
Hit the music.
Yeah,
that word music.
I did all that. It's not downloading the MP3 file from you guys.
Let me see. Let me see if I can do it on my end just to show you one more time. Okay. Give me a sec.
Yeah, I'm doing exactly how you said it.
Give me a sec real quick.
All right.
I'm gonna go over here to settings. I got a lot of stuff going on, so let's see if it does it. Usually when I have my screen mirroring stuff, it doesn't work. Try to close the app and do it again. You may want to delete the, if you inputted a music file on the web, you might want to delete it from the web for that to appear as well. You know, I'm just showing you guys where it's at and how it's going to work. So if you want this music option to work, try to delete the one from the web as well. That'll probably be helpful.
I did do that. I deleted the one from the web, and then I went back and selected music, tapped on it, and then hit OK. It said I need to download the files, and it's not doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure your internet's working, man. We can touch offline if it's not working for you specifically, but definitely that's where you get through your 10 free music files. If it's not working for you, we'll definitely touch base online and see what we can do to make it work. Okay.
DJ.
Yeah.
May I ask, what do those other files do? Like it said, bounce and stuff. Are
Yeah,
those
so
different?
that's where we're heading into now. So when you do a add effect, these are your Touchpix effects that are free, right?
Okay.
So these are your effects. The popular ones I'll let you know right now are your, let's do a snapshot. I'm going to select snapshot as my effect. Once I select snapshot, I'm going to
music still left up on it.
Yeah, it's fine. Leave it there. Once I select snapshot, I'm going to go ahead and tap on snapshot, and then you're given this little timeline in the bottom. This timeline represents your video file. On snapshot, I only want snapshot to appear from 0.2 to 0.2 or 0.35. I want that snapshot effect to only be applied at that portion of the video. That's how you control that effect, okay? Once you're done with selecting that time frame, you're going to go back into add effect. And now I'm going to use a different one. Let's try to use that bounce effect that you were talking about. I haven't used that. So let's select bounce. It'll let you use 3 of them. I'm going to click on bounce, and it's also going to give me that timeline. I want to use it at towards the end, 0.5 to 0.8. So those are my effects right there, right?
What was your snapshot?
Snapshot was 0.2 to 0.35.
To 0.35. Okay.
And why
then
is music?
Music is considered an effect no matter what. So for now, we're letting you use three effects.
Okay.
Okay.
You just on bounce or bounce 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah. So let's see how that looks, right? Let's see how that looks. I'm going to go to the right. Right. I'm going to go to the right. All this other stuff I'm not going to go over today, like the scan pics. I'm not going to go over today. So just hit go back, and let's try how it looks. Let's see if my phone doesn't shut off. So it's recording.
I don't see nothing.
It's showing everything. It's still showing online, right? You guys can still see my screen.
Mm-hmm. Applying filters, applying overlay. Added audio finishing. Oh my goodness, I see it. Okay.
So that's your snapshot effect. Like, it looks like it's a paparazzi picture.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And bounce is probably gonna like zoom in and zoom out. There you go. Zoom in, zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out. That's your bounce effect.
Okay. I like
that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can these effects, can you change them every time someone step onto the booth, or once you set it up, it goes for the entire event and that's it?
Yeah, it goes typically for the entire event. I'm trying to show you how to do an event successfully. Once you get to an advanced side, by all means, go in there and try to do it. But I don't want to show you that way now, because you're gonna do it, and then when you're gonna do it, you may run into issues. And I'd rather have you do a successful event, and as you learn the software, be confident enough to go into the settings and make those changes.
Right.
Yep.
I just wondered if that was a possibility. Thanks.
Yeah. So it is. Go ahead.
When we were practicing today, every time one video stopped, we would have to go back to the phone and touch the phone to make it go again. It don't automatically.
Well, it does if you enable. You see that trigger section that I went over earlier today?
Okay, that was what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought
So
that's what.
you can just put it on trigger, and then as soon as you put your phone up in the cradle, and you hit on your remote, right? Then you should be good to go.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. I'm going to show you guys one more thing, okay? And then I'm going to explain to you, because this is pretty cool too, and I always like to highlight and leave off on some pretty cool places, right? So let's see where I get out of this screen and go back into my screen share mode. Okay. So I'm going to exit this screen. I'm no longer going to be on my phone. And let's go into one of my events here.
So on those outro videos, DJ, the MP4, they have to be in a certain format, right? For its pixel size.
Yeah, they have to be the same size as your original template.
Okay.
Oh, the outro video do?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Do you know any software out there that does that? If I just took a MP4 and dropped it in there, that would put it to what pixel I wanted at?
You can do, you can do Adobe After Effects. You can do Adobe Premiere. You could do Adobe Animate.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see if I can show you guys a sample of what that's going to look like. Sweet.
You said Adobe Premiere, Adobe Animate, and what was the other one?
Adobe Premiere, Adobe After Effects.
Okay, got it.
So I'll show you what that outro looks like. This is kind of one of my past events. That's not it. Got the wrong one. Is that it there? There it is. Yeah, so this is one of my older events here. This will have the animate. I'm using the, what am I using here? The outro. There's a snapshot.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the outro, right? Simple.
Wow, got it.
That's your outro right there.
Got it.
I'll show you one more sample of the animated overlays. And this is how you load them through the overlay black, right? The overlay black. Oops, I went to the wrong area. So let's do gallery here. And this whole thing is an actual animated overlays. I'm not using confetti, but it's an animated overlay. So let's see. You're going to see the curtain drop here. Let me see. This is all animation. You see how the overlay has movement? The letters have movement.
Yeah.
That's all using that same feature, overlay black.
Okay. Right. I like that.
Yeah, so you can get really creative with it.
I'm glad you showed us that because I didn't know nothing about that.
Yeah, so Touchpix is actually a very powerful software. It's just you getting acclimated, getting used to it, getting it down, right? And I don't like to start off with this stuff because it usually intimidates people because that's, people say, wow, that's a lot, and it is a lot. And I don't like to start off with that kind of stuff, but once you get it down, once you get it down, you'll be good to go, right?
Right.
So just giving you samples of just past events and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, practice.
To do the overlay black, you have to have the videos already, correct?
Somebody needs to design it for you. Another resource, like the gentleman indicated that was on the call, the Touchpix user group on Facebook is a great resource for people that freelance and do animated stuff for you. You can hit them up, Some of them are, start off as low as $40. Some of them are as high as $75, $80, depending on the
So
work.
do you just say, can somebody do an overlay black
Yeah,
for me?
just say who's available to do an animated overlay, right?
Okay, got it.
And you can use them in different variations, but yes. So I got a little bit of time for some questions. I don't have a lot of time. My throat's a little
Oh my
gone.
God, I feel so
Question,
much
please.
better tonight.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. Let's go one at a time. It's cool. I'll
Okay.
answer the question.
Why do some people they print out the QR code? What is that
So
for?
I didn't go into that today, but yes, you do have a way to print out a QR code. So if you pay attention to this here, right, your events, this is where the master activity happens. So the event that I just created now, right, I'm going to go ahead and hit events. I created this top event. If I click on gallery, you're going to see maybe 2 videos up there, or there's one right now, right? So this video is important. You always have to test at least one video, because then what that does, it uploads it into the web server. It's telling Touchpix that there's now a video in that specific event's web gallery, and this will appear, public URL. This public URL is what you can give your client, right? You see this big old Touchpix logo? We loaded that logo, right? This can be your logo here. But that client now has access to the entire web gallery as the night goes on. They can download it by one click. What makes this gallery special, and this is what you're going, to answer your question, a lot of people copy this web address. You're going to copy it, right?
Okay.
And you're going to open a new page, and you're going to go into a free QR code generator, like QR Code Monkey. And all you're going to do is paste that URL here.
Okay.
Once you paste it, it generates a QR code. So now you have access, you print this out, and you have access to that web gallery without the need of a sharing station, right?
Okay.
That's for a different webinar. But I want to point out 2 different things. Before you do this, clear it with the person paying you for the event, because there's privacy issues. Maybe they don't want to share the entire galleries, right?
I see.
Right.
Okay.
Make sure you clear it. And 2, make sure that if you're going to use this way of sharing, you have good Wi-Fi upload speed, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
No
you for
problem.
that.
No problem.
What's your name again? DJ John?
No, I go by DJ1.
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 Thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay,
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sure.
I wanted to know if you wasn't using the TV, could you just use your iPhone and your iPad
Yes.
for the QR code?
Yes, the TV is absolutely optional.
Okay.
It's more of a upsell to get more money. If you're going to be lugging a TV around, you're going to charge at least $200-$300 extra.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I got one for you, DJ. I'm kind of curious on a setting there. What's the difference between auto face and auto exposure on the camera setting there?
Auto face is going to look for people's faces. Auto exposure is just general lighting.
So what would you recommend? I guess it depends on the environment, probably.
Yeah, I like to use just auto, because I'm not really considering people's faces. I'm considering the overall lighting.
Okay.
Hey, DJ.
Hey.
Hey, I had a question. I was looking at your thing last time, and for the subscription for the 1,200.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at that one, and you were saying that you had some kind of discount.
Yeah, shoot me an email. The discount on that one, I can probably get it down to about $950 or something like that.
Okay. And send it to your email.
Send it to support at touchpix.com.
Okay.
And you can just reference me, say, hey, DJ1 said you guys a discount code for that.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Quick question.
Sure.
The video that you just showed us towards the end, the one with the curtain drop and towards
Sure.
the end,
Sure.
the very last slide, right? How did you customize that? Because that popped up with the person's name,
Yeah,
and then with your company at the bottom.
Yeah, so I customized that through my designer. So my designer who made the initial one, I bought it as a combo set. I had him do the overlay for me, like the overlay black effect, and I also added the outro as one, right? So you can do it as a package, whoever you're using, or if you're creating it yourself, you have to create it that way on Adobe After Effects.
Is your designer in America or is he in China?
My guy is in the UK.
I kind of figured that. I was trying to deal with a guy in India. That's a communication barrier, big time.
Yeah, so that's why I use people from the Touchpix group, because they already know how the format is and how it should be done, and they're pretty much easy to access. I would say this though, whoever you guys get, please ask them for sample sizes of work, even if they're watermarked. Please don't send money to anybody without getting any sample sizes. Even if it's watermarked, at least you know that they're working on it for you. There's somebody that's an actual person. We can't police everything. So use your better judgment and say, hey, can you create this? But give me a sample size. I don't care if it's watermarked. That way you know that they took the time to make it for you. Right.
Yeah, I tried that from the guy from China, and I did exactly what you said. I said, could you send me a sample, something like that? Obviously, you put a watermark on there.
Yeah.
And he'd come back and say, oh, you want me to do the work before you pay me? So obviously, I deleted him.
Yeah, no. So just have them send you a sample with their abilities. That way you know that they're able to do the work.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, guys, it's pretty late.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before
sure.
you go, last question. So before an event, of course, we activate. Do we deactivate after everything is said and done and ready to pack up?
So you deactivate. You hit the same setting. If you're using a sharing station, actually, you'll see exit sharing station. So that's pretty easy. You don't have to wait for it. If you're using your iPhone, you're always going to hit close event. It's going to ask you for the original QR code, scan it, and let it do its thing, and you're done.
So closing your share station, you don't need the code to close it?
Not no more. Not if you activate it as a sharing station now with the new update.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, guys, I appreciate you guys, man. My throat's pretty gone by this point.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully I can get you guys at the next one. I'll try to go more segmented webinars, not as long, but to the point where I could have you guys up and going. I appreciate you guys taking the time. Have a great night. And any questions, feel free to join the group, reach us out at the support line, or reach us out at the email that I indicated, support@touchpix.com. Thank you so much.
Hey, DJ1.
Yeah.
I have a personal question for you. Can I ask you?
Sure. You want to ask me or send me a direct email?
I'll just go ahead and ask you.
Okay.
If I'm interested in getting the ability to post, I know you guys have like certain vendors that sell photo booths and stuff. I recently found a vendor who mass produces them.
Okay.
And he's wanting to go in business with me. And if how do I actually get the ability to post on Touchpix website as a vendor?
Yeah, so shoot me a DM, right? I'm one of the moderators on the group. Shoot me a DM. Cool. We can talk. And I'm by DJ1 on the Facebook group.
Yeah, I have your cell phone number. We've emailed and everything before.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then also I just started doing props too. And I know everybody goes to prop culture. So I didn't know if that's another resource that
no,
that
I mean,
you guys...
anything that enhances our user base, we're going to allow. What we disallow is a lot of the spamming, right? So I think we're going to have like specific days for vendors to highlight some products, right?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, thank you. Like I just said, I just launched my website this week, so I have all the props.
Cool. So, all
I'll
right.
email you.
I got a
Yeah.
question, Jay.
Sure, sure.
Is this
What
webinar
about
every
closing
Wednesday? I'm not
an
sure.
event?
Girl, I say to the very.
Okay. What was that? I'm sorry. I couldn't catch that.
This
Closing the
webinar, is
event.
it every Wednesday?
Sure. The webinar is every Wednesday. It'll be recorded. Join the group. I'll post the recording.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. What was your question, ma'am?
I was asking about closing an event.
Okay. Yeah, to close the event, if you're doing it from a sharing station, the new update, it says close sharing station or exit sharing station, and that's all you do. And then from your phone, you just hit close event. It's going to ask you for the original QR code, and you just scan it, and it'll close. Make sure you're in an area where you have good Wi-Fi, and you shouldn't have any issues closing it.
So the original QR code, that's the same QR code we found
At the very beginning,
before we go to designer, right?
Correct.
That QR code that was there? Okay.
Correct. Correct.
Work. It's gonna work for us.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great night. I appreciate you guys, staying on, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.